Chapter 797. So that's how it is, I understand. Dark Divine, official muttered to himself and walked out of the door. When you return from 10 Square World, I will come find you again. When his voice came, he was already at a place where Lin Yu couldn't see. Dark Divine official stopped, turned around, and suddenly knelt down in Lin Yu's direction. He didn't say anything, only lowering his head. Only when someone passed by did he disappear, and when he reappeared, he was already in his own palace. No one knew that Dark Divine official came, except for Lin Yu. Crazy. Lin Yu only felt that this guy was strange, but didn't want to bother with him. That Hey Yu fell silent. No matter how Lin Yu called, Hey Yu didn't respond. And at this time, Venerable Wuya also returned. A bunch of nonsense. Venerable Boundless coldly snorted. It seemed that even with his power, he was unable to detect that the Dark Divine official had come. Those old bastards from the 4 great clans are looking down on our world sees people more and more. Lin Yu didn't say anything, only thinking about how big the gap between Venerable Wuya and Dark Divine official was. What's wrong with you? Feeling that Lin Yu was a bit too quiet, Venerable Wuya looked over curiously. Didn't you sense that something is wrong here? Lin Yu casually asked. If it was an opponent with similar fighting strength, Venerable Wuya should have sensed that the Dark Divine official made a move. But he only shook his head. Nothing is wrong. Even thinking that something big happened to Lin Yu, Venerable Wuya deliberately used his divine sense to scan the palace. But in the end, he still couldn't sense anything. It's fine. Lin Yu faintly smiled. Right? Why is Venerable angry? Venerable Wuya disagreed and coldly snorted. Those old farts of the 4 great clans actually said that the order of 10 Square Worlds entry is to let Realm C people enter first. Aren't they looking down on our Realm C? When the sequences of the Heaven Domain and the Primitive Continent enter the 10 Square World, they will occupy the right time and place first. At that time, what can we, the Realm C sequence, do? Lin Yu didn't care about this. After all, the Battle of 10 Direction World wasn't something that could be completed in a short period of time. How long has the 10 Square World been open? 1 month. Venerable Boundless smiled proudly. Fortunately, this seat and the other Venerables share the same hatred for the enemy. We've agreed that all of you will enter together tomorrow. By the way, where is Lin Yuan? It's time to rest. Lin Yu replied, remembering the appearance of the Dark Priest just now. It seemed that even Lin Yuan was not aware of it. Otherwise, with Lin Yuan's personality, he would definitely rush out to stop the other party from approaching him. Thinking of this, Lin Yu became even more curious. Venerable One, what is the rank of the Dark High Priest on the Heavenly God list? Why are you suddenly asking this? I'm curious. Venerable Wuya's old face twitched. Actually, my ranking is about the same as his. Lin Yu remembered that Venerable Wuya was ranked 30th. If that was the case, wouldn't the Dark Priest be in the 20s? It was a bit unreasonable. What's the specific rank? Lin Yu still wanted to ask clearly. 7th. F***CK. Lin Yu cursed in his heart. 7th on the Heavenly God list. This is about the same as your ranking? Fortunately, Lin Yu asked more, otherwise he would have been fooled by Venerable Wuya. Venerable Wuya coughed dryly. In fact, the gap between us on the Heavenly God list is not big. Maybe this old man can also enter the top 10 in the future. Understood. Lin Yu was too lazy to pay attention to him and entered his room. 7th on the Heavenly God list, the Dark Priest. The first known was the 6-winged God King. The second was the boundless Varokana Buddha of the Primitive Continent. And the third was the existence that had disappeared for a long time. However, Lin Yu was curious as to why the 3rd position was still empty. The 4th and 5th on the Heavenly God list, as Fan Tong had mentioned before, were the Heavenly Demon King of the demonic sect of the 3 realms and 5 domains, and the Haotian Emperor of the Dongsheng Taoist sect. The Lord of the Realm C, the leader of the other Venerables, ranked 6th. As for the 7th, it was actually the Dark Priest. Did this mean that the Dark Priest's strength was already very close to the Lord of the Realm Sea? And the 8th was the first sea domain Venerable Xianming. These were all the strongest existences on the heavenly god list. Lin Yu roughly understood the situation. At night, Qin Yi seemed to have sent away the female king of hell and came to Lin Yu's residence alone. Under Lin Yu's signal, even though Venerable Wuya knew that Qin Yi had come, he did not appear. Young people are good. Venerable Wuya let out a long sigh. He did not expect that after only meeting for a day, Lin Yu, this brat, would have such a beautiful encounter. F***CK. The more Venerable Wuya thought about it, the angrier he got. On the other side of the room, after 6 hours of extravagant sounds, Qin Yi laid lazily on Lin Yu's body. There were some beads of sweat on her face. Under the bright moonlight, they were like drops of sparkling gemstones, extremely beautiful. Lin Yu slid in and said at the same time, "Tomorrow, the 10-square world will open. You and I will go in together." Qin Yi was speechless for a long time. After a long time, she slowly opened her eyes and nodded gently. "I'll listen to you. But this time, the opponents we will face are much stronger than Ling Xiao. We might be able to deal with the people from the Middle Sea region, but the Upper Sea region has Lei Dong, Shimen Wuxue, Jiu Feng, and the demon god, demonic god, and fiend god from the Emperor Fallen Sea region. Adding in the experts from the Heaven region and the primitive continent, I'm afraid there will be a fierce battle in the 10-square world." After Qin Yi finished, Lin Yu just smiled. "Are you afraid?" "No. With you here, Yi has never been afraid." Lin Yu laughed evilly. "That's good. In the 10-square world, fierce battles are inevitable. But if anyone dares to block my path, I will kill them all." Hurry up. How could Qin Yi listen to Lin Yu's words right now? The next day, by the time Lin Yu woke up, Qin Yi had already left under the cover of dawn. After all, she represented the Zixia Sea. If she were to be caught in Lin Yu's room, just like that, it wouldn't be good for Reverend Zixia's reputation. Regarding this, Lin Yu expressed his understanding. Above the sequencer city, the gates to the 10-square world opened slowly. Below, there were quite a number of sequences who had already gathered. "I think you ran out last night. I waited for you for a long time, but you did not return." The female king of hell asked softly. Qin Yi's heart clenched up. Her face was expressionless as she probed. "Senior sister, did you wait for me the entire night?" "Not really. I fell asleep in the latter half of the night," the female king of hell replied. Qin Yi heaved a sigh of relief. "I came back in the latter half of the night. It's just that I met with a bottleneck in my cultivation, so I wanted to go out for a breather." "I see. Junior sister, you're already in the 4-symbol state. You don't have to be in a rush to cultivate. You must know that the difference between 10,000 spirit state and 4-symbol state is like heaven and earth. If you're in a rush, you might go berserk." Chapter 798. The female king of hell was teaching Qin Yi seriously. She was also a 4-symbols realm expert and was 1 level higher than Qin Yi. "Thank you, senior sister. I will pay attention." Qin Yi thanked her sincerely. She had not known the female king of hell for long. After all, Qin Yi came from the Purple Cloud Sea's Jade Fairy sect, while Queen of Hell was the lord of another power, the Azura Palace. However, after the two of them became the echelon, it meant that they were both disciples of Reverend Zixia. Naturally, they would address each other as senior and junior sisters. In another direction, Lin Xiao was still looking at Lin Yu from time to time. His eyes were reminding Lin Yu that he was now from the Middle Sea region and was slightly stronger than Lin Yu. In the sky, the divine priest of light looked down and stood outside the 10-direction world. Behind him, the 10-direction world had already opened and a teleportation force seemed to be able to suck everyone in. After entering the 10-direction world, you will be assigned to a random area. 1 month later, the 10-direction world will open again, and the one who obtains the most territories will become the first on the sequence board. What are the benefits of being the first on the sequence board? Below, a scholarly-looking person cupped his fists and asked, "Little brother, Monster Worlds by Geo asked this question." "Not bad, it's me again." He chuckled. He was also the one who asked the question yesterday. The first on the sequence board, other than the top 3 on the Heavenly God ranking, can choose another Heavenly God ranking expert to be his master. It meant that other than the six-winged divine king, the great solar Buddha, and the missing third on the heavenly god ranking, the first on the sequence board could choose any other heavenly god ranking expert to be his master. I see, that's great. I heard that the demon empress Ning Kikyo, who is ranked 11th on the heavenly god ranking, is extremely beautiful. She's one of the top beauties in the 3 realms and 5 regions. If I could find such a beautiful master, I would be willing to eat sh*t. You're not ambitious. You're already the first on the sequence board, and you're still afraid of not having a woman. If you want to choose, of course you'll choose the strongest 4th heavenly god, the demon sex great demon king. What a joke. The most important thing is to get the heavenly god's true inheritance. The greatest benefit after becoming the sequence board is the chance to be ranked on the heavenly god ranking. That is the glory of us cultivators. That makes sense, but I still want to find a beautiful master. While everyone was discussing, they officially entered the 10-square world under the orders of the Divine Priest of Light. Brother Lei Dong, shall we work together? Of course you can. The people of Realm C share a common enemy. This is how it should be. Demon God Laughing Ghost from the Emperor Fallen Sea region and Thunder from the mysterious Underworld Sea region said. In a few words, the Xianming Sea region's echelons had already gathered with the Emperor Fallen Sea region. Was this an alliance? When the others saw this, they immediately understood. The 10-square world wasn't a battle for territory. It was a battle of strategy. It didn't rely on one's own strength. 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. No matter how strong a person was, if he encountered an alliance of several sequences in the 10-square world, he would be defeated. Not to mention winning a one-on-one battle. Even a tag team battle could exhaust him to death. Therefore, forming an alliance was a smart move. Seeing this, the eyes of the vast expanse and the 9 hells in the middle sea rolled. I am killer of 3 lives from the vast expanse sea's Tao-seeking sect. This is sure Rulai for my 10,000 Buddha Hall. I wonder if the people of the 9 Serenities Sea region are also willing to form an alliance? I am Bai Wuchang. I'm naturally willing to form an alliance. What about you, Lin Xiao? I have someone. You can go. Lin Xiao didn't even need time to think and directly gave an answer. While Bai Wuchang was stunned, Lin Xiao had already walked to Lin Yu's side. Lowly Sea region, or the trashiest boundless sea. Bai Wuchang's old face twitched. Lin Xiao, you're silly. It's none of your business. All right, you can explain it to 9 Serenities sage yourself. Bai Wuchang snorted coldly, and Killer of 3 Lives who came to recruit the alliance was naturally a little unhappy. Is there anyone else from Realm C who wants to join us? Hearing this, the people of Purple Cloud C and Chaos Demon C naturally understood that if they didn't choose a side at this time, they would be in trouble after entering the 10-square world. As for the others, the people of Primitive Continent and Heaven region had already formed an alliance, and they disdained to form an alliance with the people of Realm C. As for the people of the 5 regions of the 3 realms and 5 regions, Ghost region, Demon realm, Western Sumeru sect, Demon sect, Dong, Sheng Taoism, they also tacitly formed 2 alliances. It seemed that before entering the 10-square world, everyone already felt that there would definitely be a fierce battle in a while. And Lin Xiao came to Lin Yu's side, which meant that he had already chosen to stand on Lin Yu's side. Killer of 3 Lives didn't take the initiative to invite Lin Yu, but his gaze landed in the direction of Purple Cloud Sea. Fairies, are you interested in forming an alliance with me? Killer of 3 Lives smiled faintly. At this moment, he had gathered 9 Serenities seized by Wu Chang, Chaotic Demon sees Tyrant Blade Yi, and Boundless sees Shirulai. Adding his own strength, it was already an extremely powerful team. Facing such a team, only Qin Yi and Queen of Hell from a lowly sea region like Purple Cloud Sea. In Killer of 3 Lives' opinion, they didn't have the capital to reject him. I refuse. Who knew that while Killer of 3 Lives was feeling smug, he was looking forward to Qin Yi's answer. But Qin Yi rejected him without even thinking about it. What? 3 Lives Kill narrowed his eyes, a look of extreme displeasure on his face. He had even fantasized about having Qin Yi and Queen of Hell join him. In a month's time in 10 Square World, he might have enough opportunities to obtain the two women's bodies. It might be difficult to win the sequence battle, but the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. In Killer of Three Lives' opinion, getting the beauties first was a great gain. Unfortunately, his wishful thinking didn't work out. Qin Yi, think carefully. This young master never gives others a chance. It's always others who take the initiative to curry favor with this young master. Killer of Three Lives waved his hands, indicating for Qin Yi to look at the team behind him. The people of the upper-class C region look down on you. If you don't form an alliance with us now, you might not even make it past the first day after entering. I said no. Qin Yi was still determined. Then, she didn't even bother to look at Killer of Three Lives. Killer of Three Lives' face was filled with anger as he looked at Queen of Hell. Then what about you? Queen of Hell narrowed her eyes. She also felt that Qin Yi's decision was a bit rash. Senior sister, if you want to go, then go, Qin Yi said. Queen of Hell gritted her teeth. She remembered Venerable Zixia's words. She and Qin Yi couldn't be separated. Today, after entering 10 Square World, they had to support each other even more. Forget it. I'll go wherever junior sister goes. Queen of Hell's words made Killer of Three Lives' expression even more unsightly. Haha, a mere trash from the Middle Sea region wants to win a beauty's heart? Why don't you take a look at yourself first? A voice sounded. It was Lei Dong from Mysterious Void Sea. This one is Lei Dong. Greetings to the two fairies. Chapter 799. Lei Dong looked refined and polite, but his tone still carried the arrogance of an upper-middle-class person. It was just that he covered it up with a smile. Lei Dong was talking to Qin Yi and the female Yama. Kill of Three Lives narrowed his eyes. As a man, how could he not know what Lei Dong was trying to do? He was trying to steal his woman. What? Why aren't you scramming? Lei Dong's voice suddenly sounded. It was incomparably domineering. The target of his warning was none other than Kill of Three Lives and his group. Kill of Three Lives gritted his teeth, but he had no choice but to take a few steps back. Lei Dong snatched away the beauty in his hands, and he couldn't do anything about it. Kill of Three Lives clenched his fists tightly. His fingertips had already pierced his palms, and traces of dark red seeped out. Compared to the humiliation Lei Dong brought him, Kill of Three Lives didn't feel the pain in his palms at all. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West, 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't bully the poor young. Three Lives Kill silently prayed in his heart. He only hoped that one day he would be able to make a comeback. He only hoped that when that time came, these two would not be ruined by Lei Dong. Fairies, are you willing to form an alliance with me? Lei Dong spoke again and extended his hand. He even felt that he didn't need to say anything. Any woman only needed to see his status and the people behind him to know what to choose. Qin Yi and the female Yama, in Lei Dong's eyes, were even more intelligent women. Junior sister, the female Yama's eyes curved. So Qin Yi had just rejected Kill of Three Lives and his group because she knew Lei Dong would also invite her? At this moment, the female Yama only felt that Qin Yi was very smart. Junior sister was too amazing. Since Mr. Lei invited us, the female Yama was about to agree, but Qin Yi's words interrupted her. No. When her words fell, even with Lei Dong's status, their expressions froze. Kill of Three Lives, who had taken a few steps back, thought he had heard wrong. But the female Yama was even more shocked. Junior sister, why? The female Yama didn't understand. Didn't Qin Yi reject Kill of Three Lives to wait for Lei Dong to come? Fairy Qin, have you thought it through? The strongest cultivators of Realm C are on my side. Lei Dong's face had lost some patience. However, Qin Yi was simply too beautiful, making him feel that she was worth spending a little more time and patience to win over. Do you not understand what I'm saying? Unexpectedly, Qin Yi's tone was even colder than before. No, impudent. Do you know that Big Brother Lei is the Sky Sea region lord of the Xianming Sea? Behind him, a charming woman's voice sounded. This woman was dressed in an enchanting manner. The chiffon covering her upper body had already fallen to her shoulders, giving off a seductive vibe. Since she was standing beside Lei Dong, her position seemed to be extremely high as well. Princess Jiufeng of the mysterious underworld shaman race. Her strength is probably not much weaker than Lei Dong and Shimen Wuxue, right? Of course. I heard that she has already stepped into the 10,000 soul realm and is truly one of the strongest echelons. But why do I feel that this vixen's ability to seduce people is more powerful than her cultivation? The surrounding people discussed animatedly. Meanwhile, the people from the Tianyu, primitive continent, and 5 regions had already entered the 10 square world. I made myself very clear. Qin Yi waved her hand. She was too lazy to look at Lei Dong and the others. However, she could not directly walk to Lin Yu's side because Qin Yi knew that it would bring disaster to Lin Yu. If Lei Dong and the others made things difficult for Lin Yu, Qin Yi did not want to see that. Time's up. Behind Lei Dong, another man's voice sounded. The man's tone was cold, as if he was an emotionless killing machine. His hands were crossed in front of him, wrapping around a long sword. His hair was disheveled, and his head was lowered the entire time. No one could see his face clearly. However, after this person spoke, his words seemed to have more weight than Jiufeng's. Lei Dong wanted to continue making things difficult for Qin Yi, but after this person spoke, he hesitated. Fine, let's go in first. There will be plenty of time in the future. Lei Dong sneered and looked at Qin Yi sharply. He could not help but lick his lips. The more temperamental a woman is, the more I like her. Interesting, too interesting. As Lei Dong and the others entered 10 square world, 3 lives kill, and the others wanted to go forward. But Qin Yi had already walked to the other side. That was where Lin Yu was. People from the Boundless Sea? So they already made their choice. That kid again. 3 lives kill and domineering blade Gu, Yi said one after another. You know him? 3 lives kill asked. Domineering blade Gu Yi nodded and snorted. That kid killed another sequence of my chaotic demon C, Xiongqi. The first person I dealt with after entering was him. Fine, let's go in first. 3 lives kill smiled. He had to pick the soft persimmon to pinch. He could not win against the upper sea regions like Xianming and Diluo. However, it was easy for him to deal with people from the lower sea regions like Boundless Sea. As 3 lives kill, and the others entered 10 square world. Outside, only Lin Yu and the others were left, as well as Qin Yi, who was walking towards them. Yama, who was following closely behind, was even more confused. The Upper Sea Alliance did not want him. The Middle Sea Alliance did not want him either. Could it be that Junior's sister wanted to form an alliance with this lower sea region? Sorry for the delay, young Master Lin. Qin Yi bowed and said to Lin Yu while sticking out her tongue. It's fine, but... Lin Yu shrugged and smiled. Next time I see those people who talk nonsense to you, I'll cut off their tongues. His tone was incomparably calm. Yama thought that Lin Yu had just said something normal, but she carefully thought about the meaning behind those words. Kill. Domineering. Was this kid crazy? Didn't he know that he was born in the lower sea region and had less resources than 3 lives kill and Lei Dong? He actually wanted to cut off their tongues? I'll listen to you. Who knew that Qin Yi would actually cooperate? Junior's sister, could it be that you want to form an alliance with him? The Queen of Hell asked in surprise. Qin Yi nodded without hesitation. Senior sister, young Master Lin is the best candidate for the alliance. Are you sure? Yes. Looking at Qin Yi's unwavering eyes, it was the first time Yama saw her like this. This was an answer with incomparable trust. But how could she have such a firm sense of trust in someone she had just met for a day? If you have doubts, you can leave on your own. Lin Xiu's voice sounded a little impatient. He was the only person from the Middle Sea region present. After Lin Xiu spoke, Queen Yama frowned. Even the immortal slaying sex sequence had sided with this person. Could it be that this person was really extraordinary? Who said that I have doubts, I agree to the alliance. Yama had no way out now. Qin Yi's rejection just now had offended the alliance between the upper and middle sea region. They could only leave with Lin Yu now. That's fine. Lin Xiu snorted and looked at Yama again. Yama also looked at him again. Other than being handsome, he seemed to have nothing good about him. Chapter 800. Although he looked exactly the same as Lin Yu. But compared to Lin Yu's handsome face, Lin Xiu's white hair and vertical pupils made Yama feel that this person had a bit more evil charm. At this moment, Lin Yu, Lin Xiu, Lin Yuan, Qin Yi, and Yama gather for the first time in the 3 realms and 5 regions. This kid is dawdling, so he's picking up girls? Below, Venerable Wuya, who had waited for a long time before seeing Lin Yu enter the 10-square world, cursed secretly, and there was a little jealousy in his tone. Don't be jealous, old crow. It seems that you can't compare to your disciple. Chaos Demon Venerable laughed. My name is Wuya. Venerable Zixia also looked over. Old crow, what did your disciple do to actually make my 2 disciples follow him? Obviously, Venerable Zixia chose Lin Yu as the ally of Qin Yi and Yama. She had an opinion. She didn't want thunder movement, at least choose the inferior 3 lives kill. But who knew that her 2 disciples actually left with a group of people from the Lower Sea area? Venerable Zixia, you and I are both from the Lower Sea area. Are you looking down on my disciples? Old crow, don't forget how you pester me before. I'm afraid your disciple is using the same trick now, right? As soon as Venerable Zixia's voice fell, the other venerables also looked over one after another, observing the 2 with a strange expression. And in the 10-square world, at this moment, the figures of Lin Yu and the others appeared one after another. It was also the first time they saw the complete appearance of the 10-square world. This was the reason why it was called the 10-square world, was because it was divided into 2 continents. And these 2 continents, one was up and one was down, and they were facing each other. In other words, the 10-square world had no sky, and what the existences on the 2 continents saw was the other continent. Above is the 5 directions: wind, thunder, light, dark, and illusion, the 5 directions. Below is the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the 5 elements. Qin Yi on the side also explained. Obviously, she had investigated this information before. The others also listened to her. Now, they were in the middle of 2 worlds. The problem was, which world should he go to? 10 great worlds, and a total of 1,080 small continents. These continents should be the territory that the 6-winged divine king mentioned. Qin Yi continued. The size of the territories are about the same, so I guess that the winner is decided by the number of territories occupied. Junior sister, where do you think we should go first? Of course, she didn't ask for Lin Yu's opinion right away. In her opinion, she should still be the one in charge, even if they had already formed an alliance. Sir Lin, what do you think? However, Qin Yi didn't answer the female Yama. Instead, she asked for Lin Yu's opinion. Let's take a look first. Lin Yu replied casually. The female king of hell thought that this person didn't have any opinions of his own, so she decided to listen to him. What she didn't know was that Lin Yu was actually observing. In front of them, there were already many figures attacking upwards. The competition in the 5-direction world was obviously stronger, and the 5 elements world below only had people from the realm sea. There were also people from the 5 regions below. It seemed that they were planning to avoid the battle between the heaven domain and the primitive continent in the 5-direction world. Let's avoid them, Lin Yu said as he began to fly down. Qin Yi immediately understood and followed along. Lin Xiu, Lin Yuan, and Yama also followed. With their current combat strength, they should indeed avoid them. After all, only the people from the primitive continent could fight against the heaven domain head-on. Although they had many sequences in the realm sea, they didn't have as many top combatants as the other 2 forces. What was the use of having more people? But the 5 of them didn't fly for too long before they suffered a wave of attacks. They were balls of black Yao Qi, and they were sweeping toward everyone at high speed. Lin Yuan took a step forward, and his 4 symbols realm cultivation combined with his monster aura, forming the roar of a beast king. Those black balls bombarded the beast king phantoms, constantly producing deafening sounds. The 5 of them also took the opportunity to land on the ground and came to the 5-direction world. You have some ability to actually be able to block my Tao seeking bead. A contemptuous voice sounded. It was the killer of 3 lives of the Tao-seeking sect. Along with him were Shur Rulai from the Pantheon Temple, White Impermanence from the Nine Nether Sea, and Domineering Blade Yi from the Chaos Demon Sea. These 4 people were obviously waiting here for Lin Yu and the others to appear. I'm right, this group of people is indeed the same as us, choosing to occupy the 5 Elements world first. Hee, since we've met, let's kill them first, so that we don't know where they will run to in the future. It'll be troublesome to find them. Lin Yu, you kill my brother Qiongqi. Today is the day you die. The person who spoke was Domineering Blade Yi. But Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. That black bead was hit by you? His gaze fell on the leader of the other party, the killer of 3 lives of the Tao-seeking sect. It was me, so what? Killer of 3 lives, aura erupted and actually reached the peak of the 4 symbols realm in an instant. He was only half a step away from stepping into the myriad spirit realm at any time. You seem to be very unhappy with me? Killer of 3 lives, eyes narrowed, and he already had the intention to kill Lin Yu. He saw Qin Yi and King of Hell beside Lin Yu. Before Lei Dong and the others arrived, Killer of 3 lives planned to take down these 2 women first. Lin Yu, on the other hand, was his first target. Master, do you want to fight? Lin Yuan asked from the side. His face was already a little excited. But Lin Yu felt a few auras approaching him. It was the aura of Lei Dong and the others. This group of people seemed to want to kill a few enemies as soon as possible and reduce the time to find the enemy when they split up. If you want to avenge Qiongqi, then come, Lin Yu said coldly. With a step, he appeared in front of Yi. You, I have killer of 3 lives now. How can I let you be presumptuous? He remembered how Qiongqi died in the hands of Lin Yu. Therefore, Yi was still a little afraid of Lin Yu. It's just that this is 10 Square World, a place where one can kill indiscriminately. At that time, Qiongqi died because Demon Venerable Chaos couldn't make a move. Otherwise, Yi didn't believe that Lin Yu could kill Qiongqi in the hands of Demon Venerable Chaos. Yi, don't worry and fight with him. If he dares to touch you, I will kill him immediately. Killer of 3 lives' voice came with an unscrupulous threat. Even his meaning was very clear. If Lin Yu dares to resist, then they will attack together. On the surface, Killer of 3 lives cultivation is higher than Lin Yu and the others by a few times, including Sister Xiaojing. If they fight head-on, he is confident that Lin Yu is not his opponent. Okay, brother Killer of 3 lives, I am relieved to hear your words. After all, Yi came from the Lower Sea area. Now that he is protected by people from the Middle Sea area, his courage has increased a lot. While talking, he thought that he could take advantage of Lin Yu's distraction and suddenly attack. Chapter 801. The long blade in his hand swept out and directly slashed at Lin Yu's position. Be careful, the female Yama shouted, thinking that Lin Yu couldn't even take the first move. Although she was unwilling to submit to Lin Yu's alliance, she didn't want to see her teammates defeated so quickly. On the contrary, the female Yama saw the other 3. Qin Yi, Lin Yuan, and Lin Xiu were unusually calm. Aren't you worried about him? The female Yama asked. Why should we be worried? Qin Yi was puzzled. The female Yama sighed softly. Junior sister, did you forget that Lin Yu just said that he is only at the equilibrium state? I think that among so many sequences, his realm is the lowest. That Domineering Blade Yi is at the 4-symbol state. Lin Yu won't be able to last more than a few rounds. The 4-symbol state is fine, as long as it's not the myriad spirit state. Young Master Lin has nothing to fear. Qin Yi laughed, showing great confidence in Lin Yu's strength. The female Yama was even more surprised. Why did she trust this man that she had only known for 2 days? And on the battlefield, an incomparably mournful voice came at this moment. The female Yama immediately turned around, thinking that Lin Yu had died. But when she took a closer look, she saw that it was a black sickle that was so huge that it seemed to be able to split the earth. It fell from midair and directly hit Domineering Blade Yi's battle body. The latter couldn't dodge such a fast blade at all, and that mournful voice came after domineering blade Guyi was slashed to death. "Bastard, you dare to kill. Kill of 3 lives," furious voice came. He didn't care about Guyi's life or death, but he cared about his face. He just said that if Guyi couldn't defeat Linyu, he would stop Linyu. But now, Guyi was slashed by Linyu in front of him. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Even if Kill of 3 Lives used his full speed and burst out with the strength of a peak 4-symbol state, he blocked in front of Guyi. However, since Linyu made a move, the speed of Death God Transit wasn't something they could easily catch up with. Moreover, although Linyu was now in a new world and couldn't know everyone's secrets, but the battle experience he accumulated for 100,000 years, sword, blade, chess, and words, these were all things that ordinary young people couldn't compare with. Damn it! Tyrant Blade Guye's body was split in half by 3 lives kill. Although Death God Transit Black Sickles is his Black Sickle, the Black Death God's Black Sickle, the Black Sickle, the Black Sickles is his the Black Sickle, the Black Sickle, the Black Sickle, directly split the blades black. Broken. Dead. Everyone's his heads, kills his CS's. Lin to kill. Linyu's calm voice rang out. He didn't even look at 3 lives kill. His 5 fingers formed a claw as he directly grabbed Guye's storage ring. Kill. As always. But Lin uses was another slap to Kill of 3 lives' face. Leave your storage ring behind. After all, it was a storage ring left behind by a dead sequence bearer. The value of the treasures inside was immeasurable. Therefore, even though domineering Saber Guyi was dead and 3 lives killer had lost face, his first thought was to kill Linyu and take their storage rings. But he didn't expect that Linyu would make a move first. So you want it too? Fine, here you go. Linyu smiled faintly and threw the storage ring. At the same time, he glanced at Qin Yi and the others. With that, the 4 of them disappeared at the same time and moved closer to Linyu. Wait for me. The female Yama reacted quickly, but she was still a step too slow. She only caught up at the last moment. The people from the Upper Sea region are here. Let's go. As Linyu's voice fell, the 5 of them changed their direction and left at full speed. Kill of 3 lives saw this and felt that something was wrong. He held the storage ring in his hand. If he didn't want to catch it, he would have chased after them. But when Kill of 3 lives checked the storage ring with his divine sense, he found that it was empty. When did he take it? Damn it! Kill of 3 lives was furious, but he couldn't chase after Linyu. Instead, he found a place to leave. Not only Linyu, but Kill of 3 lives also realized that the people from the Xianming Sea region were approaching. Soon, Lei Dong and the others pounced on empty air. The fluctuations of the battle came from here. Interesting, they ran so fast. Lei Dong's lips curled up with a look of pity. At the same time, he saw domineering Blade Guyi on the ground, who had been cut in half. Although this kid is just a piece of trash, he was actually killed in such a short period of time. The person who injured him is very powerful. Lei Dong and 9 Phoenix said one after another. Leave him to me. After Shiman Wuxue finished speaking, he had already appeared beside Guyi. His eyes were sharp like an eagle, staring at the injuries on Guye's body. Very good. A decent opponent has finally appeared. His body and sword trembled at the same time. Lei Dong smiled, and 9 Phoenix looked at each other and nodded. They knew that Shiman Wuxue was serious. Let's occupy the nearby place first. The people from the Heaven region and the primitive continent have gone up. There are not many decent opponents in the realm of 5 elements. The realm of 5 elements should only have people from the Middle and Lower Sea region and those trash from the 5 regions. They are not worth mentioning. We have occupied this place and stabilized our footing. After Lin Yu and the others left, they began to observe the realm of 5 elements, knowing that the other party did not chase after them. Forest, land, sea. There was no difference between here and the outside world. Unfortunately, Lin Yu and the others didn't see anyone after Fly for a long time. Instead, he felt a lot of demonic beasts. The demonic beasts here are not weak. One of them has already reached the 10,000 spirit realm. Lin Yu judged, and the others nodded in agreement. Except for Yama, everyone else was excited. If we meet Kill of 3 Lives and his group again, we might be able to fight them. Yama said. After killing Guyi, Kill of 3 Lives' group was only Kill of 3 Lives, Sure, Tathagata, and White Impermanence. And there were 5 of them here. Don't worry about opponents of that level. Lin Yu said casually. He was still concerned about the people from the Upper Sea region. If he wanted to establish a foothold in the realm of 5 elements, not only did he have to occupy the territory, but he also had to solve the problem of his own safety. Once he met Lei Dong and the others, they would definitely kill him immediately. What a big tone, the female king of hell said in annoyance. Lin Yu, on the other hand, was too lazy to care about her. He just found a deserted city. Chapter 802. Let's start here. Lin Yu landed in the desolate city. It didn't look like it was built by cultivators, but more like a city of mortals. The arena, the streets, and the desert. There was no one here, but some tea sets, tables, and chairs were strewn all over the place. Some were broken, some were char-black. This seems to be a place of mortals, but because of the war, it has become like this. Qin Yi judged. Lin Yu nodded, and his gaze fell on a broken sword that was charred black. The broken sword was just an ordinary iron sword. However, Lin Yu noticed something strange about the broken sword. It was burned off by the flames. Lin Yu was intrigued. A flame that can melt an iron sword in an instant, and his finger lightly brushed the iron sword, and the iron sword in his hand turned into powder. It's so strong, it turned into ashes. Lin Yu smiled, and there was no fear on his face. Instead, there was excitement. Beside him, Yama's heart tightened. Could it be the legendary Heavenly Demon Fire? Heavenly Demon. Lin Yu didn't understand. A smile appeared on Yama's face. Finally, he noticed her for once. But just as she was about to speak, she was interrupted by a voice. Although the human race reigns supreme in the 3 realms and 5 regions, the human race's appearance isn't the oldest in the long river of history. A man walked over from afar. It seemed that he had just arrived in this city. The man was dressed in white and looked like an elegant young master. As he approached, he said, "The demon race, the ghost race, and other races that are completely different from the human race appeared before the human race in the historical records." Lin Yu and the others didn't say anything and listened to him. This is probably a relic of monsters. Humans occupied this place, and a great war broke out between them. That's why this place became like this. When the man finished speaking, he bowed to Lin Yu and the others. Bai Jiao, echelon of the monster domain, greets everyone. This person was Bai Jiao, who had asked the divine priest of light twice before the opening of the 10-square world. Why are the people of the demon realm following us? After being interrupted by Bai Jiao, she lost the chance to show off in front of Lin Yu. She was in a bad mood and looked at Bai Jiao with hostility. No. Bai Jiao shook his head helplessly. I just sense that the demonic aura here is different from other places. It's very strong, so I came here out of curiosity. His gaze quickly fell on Lin Yu. Those who were able to enter the sequence were not stupid. Bai Jiao could naturally see that these people were led by Lin Yu. Who would have thought that this kid, who had no cultivation at all, could actually become the leader of these experts? Bai Jiao was shocked. He smiled at Lin Yu and said, "This one is alone. Can I join you?" The 3 realms and 5 territories have always minded their own business. Who would have thought that the people of the 5 territories would ally with us today? Yama said again. Bai Jiao's expression darkened. You're the leader? Yama's expression immediately turned awkward. So what if I'm not? Although she wasn't completely convinced by Lin Yu's leadership, she knew very well that Lin Yu was their leader. If you're not, I'm asking your captain. What does he have to do with you? Bai Jiao snorted coldly, but his tone was still polite. He didn't completely lose his composure. He looked at Lin Yu. What do you think, sir? Lin Yu's expression was calm, but from Bai Jiao, he could sense a cultivation that wasn't inferior to the kill of 3 lives. Plus, this person's temperament seemed to be stronger than the kill of 3 lives. He was a good helper. What do you mean by the demonic energy here is different from other places? Although Lin Yu had already agreed, he didn't immediately agree. Bai Jiao could tell that Lin Yu wanted to test his sincerity. Therefore, Bai Jiao didn't hide it. He smiled and said, The 10-square world was once jointly controlled by the monster race and the ghost race. Humans only occupied a small part of it. The 5-square world above is the ghost race's territory, and the 5 elements world was once the monster race's territory. Baijiu's eyes flashed. I came from the monster world and grew up with monsters. I can feel that there's a heavenly monster in this city. In the 3 realms and 5 territories, heavenly monsters are comparable to spirit kings, and earth monsters are at the 10,000 spirit realm. Spirit king realm. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Then aren't we finished? The spirit king realm was the level of the god ranking, and the strongest among them was only at the 10,000 spirit realm. If they encountered a spirit king realm heavenly monster, they had no chance of winning. Don't worry, I can feel that this heavenly monster is still sleeping, and his aura is a bit strange, like Gio hesitated and looked at Lin Yu. The latter naturally understood that he didn't know whether they were enemies or allies, so he stopped talking. Lin Yu didn't keep him in suspense and said directly, "Since we're in an alliance, what's there to hide?" "Thank you, Captain." Gio smiled and bowed to Lin Yu. "There seems to be a seal on this heavenly monster, or he would have already woken up. I wonder who put this seal. It can actually trap a Spirit King realm heavenly monster." Baijiu muttered to himself. Lin Yu could tell that Baijiu didn't know any more information. Where is this heavenly monster? Lin Yu was still interested in the Spirit King realm heavenly monster. The specific direction should be below. Baijiu said. The female king of hell was unhappy that Lin Yu took in Baijiu without asking her. However, Qin Yi and the others didn't seem angry at all. The female king of hell couldn't help but retort, "This city is so big. What you said is nonsense." Baijiu ignored her and smiled. "Captain should understand what I mean. Is it really that big?" Lin Yu asked. Baijiu smiled in relief. This person was indeed the captain. He was indeed wise. Qin Yi wasn't a fool. When Lin Yu said this, they were also stunned for a moment. This city was more than 100,000 feet wide, and it was full of heavenly monsters? To be more precise, this heavenly monster was bigger than this city. Interesting. How do we release him? Lin Yu's sudden words made everyone's expression change. Even Baijiu twitched. Are you serious? Of course I'm serious. Lin Yu shrugged. Looking at the dumbfounded faces of the others, he explained, heavenly demons should have their own spirituality. If we can make a deal with them and have them work for us, then in this 10-square world, wouldn't we have a trump card to compete with the heaven realm and primitive continent? Chapter 803. That makes sense. Lin Xiu clapped his hands. You are still as bold as before. Wealth comes from danger. Lin Yu laughed, and Lin Yuan, who was at the side, also rubbed his hands. Master, how do we go down? Can we just punch through it? As he said that, he had already raised his fist. Baijiu was stunned. What's wrong with this group of people? They look quite smart, but why are they so reckless now? There may be a seal below. If we act rashly, Baijiu hadn't finished his words. Just punch through it, that's fine too. Lin Yu's voice came out. Lin Yuan didn't hear anyone else stopping him. Since Lin Yu agreed, Lin Yuan's fist had already blasted down. His battle physique came from the 10,000 Beast War Emperor, plus he was the mutated crystal of the extermination ape and the 8-winged demon python. So his battle physique was far more tyrannical than the 10,000 Beast War Emperor. With this punch, the cultivation of the 4 symbols realm directly formed a tyrannical cyclone, blasting a deep pit on the ground. Sand and stones were swept away, and everyone covered their noses and faces, only to see a complex pattern on the ground. The pattern was like an array, and the moment the pattern felt the strength of Lin Yuan's fist, a rebound force erupted instantly. But when the rebound force attacked Lin Yuan, Lin Yu had already pushed Lin Yuan away first. Whoosh whoosh. The rebounding force soared into the sky like an incomparably sharp energy blade. But this blade slashed through the air. If it hit Lin Yuan, he would have been cut in half at this moment. Scare me to death. The female king of hell slowly breathed a sigh of relief. She stared at the complex pattern on the ground with a dignified gaze. Lin Yuan's punch only blasted open a big pit more than 10 meters deep, and the pattern only revealed the tip of the iceberg. However, the rebounding force was enough to make them tremble in fear. It seems that the captain was prepared. Bai Jiu looked at Lin Yu with admiration. He seemed to be reckless just now, but in fact, when Lin Yuan made his move, Lin Yu was already prepared to be vigilant at any time. Otherwise, no one would have been able to react in that critical moment. These people looked impulsive and would fight whenever they wanted, but in reality, they were very steady. Lin Yu did not pay attention to Bai Jiu's thoughts. Instead, he squatted down and looked at the bottom of the pit that Lin Yuan had made. The veined patterns that were exposed there were carved on a purple gold stone wall. A dozen meters below the city was actually a layer of purple gold stone walls. Looks like we can't enter this place. Lin Yu retracted his gaze. Lin Yuan's punch did not cause any movement on the stone wall. Even with his emperor's sword, it would be difficult to split the stone wall. Moreover, even if they had the opportunity to split it open, the recoil force was not something they could casually withstand. There should be other entrances. Bai Jiu judged, the heavenly demon's aura is even stronger. There is no mistake. He is under this purple gold stone wall. Bai Jiu excitedly looked around for the entrance. At this time, Lin Yu saw a formation on the city wall. This formation was different from the earth formation that sealed the heavenly demon. It was a very small formation. To be precise, it was not a formation, because Lin Yu felt a non-lethal fluctuation on it. This is the proof of occupying the territory. Qin Yi said. Lin Yu nodded with satisfaction. Along the way, Qin Yi explained a lot about the three realms to him. This was obviously the information that Qin Yi spent a lot of time collecting. The purpose was to let Lin Yu know more about the situation of the three realms and 5 regions. Inject the Yao Qi into it, and you can occupy this city. Qin Yi's bright eyes looked into the distance again. After scanning the surroundings, she said, "This city should be surrounded by a small continent." Lin Yu raised his eyebrows and injected the Yao Qi into it. Soon, the formation on the city wall spread out and spread to the small continent that Qin Yi mentioned. A barrier soared into the sky, enveloping the small continent. The others were also stunned by this scene. They did not expect that occupying a small continent would cause such a huge commotion. The barrier that rose into the sky was as if they were afraid that others would not know that this place was occupied. At the same time that Lin Yu was done, barriers kept appearing in the realm of 5 elements in the distance. 1, 10, 30. It seemed that thunder movement and triple kill had begun to occupy the territory quickly. Lin Yu thought that the reason why they were so fast was probably because they had set up a teleportation formation after occupying the territory. Because the sequence had limited manpower, there were a total of 500 territories here. Including the realm of 5 elements above, there were a total of 1,080 territories. The sequence only had a few dozen people, which was obviously not enough. Therefore, it was necessary to set up a teleportation formation. Let's set up a teleportation formation first. Lin Yu instructed, and Qin Yi immediately understood. A teleportation formation would make it convenient for them to retreat and support other territories. This way, when the battle really started, they would have a way to retreat. The entrance is here. Bai Jiu's voice came. Go ahead. I will set up the teleportation formation with them and set up some barriers around it. Good girl. Lin Yu smiled at Qin Yi and turned to Bai Jiu's side. The others started to get busy with Qin Yi. They're not coming over? Bai Jiu was surprised. There's something else. Lin Yu said casually and saw where Bai Jiu was. It was the entrance of a staircase. It was extremely dark. When Lin Yu spread out his divine consciousness, there was a repulsive force that blocked his divine consciousness from the outside world. This place was not to be explored. Are you sure it's inside? It shouldn't be wrong. The demonic aura here is extremely dense. Bai Jiu didn't finish his sentence, but Lin Yu already understood. The demonic aura seeping out was denser, which meant that the seal here was looser than usual. He and Bai Jiu stepped in and used their glory chi at the same time, forming two faint light screens to illuminate the surroundings. This place was a spiral stone staircase that led to the bottom. Lin Yu casually threw a glory chi. After a long time, he didn't hear any sound. It's bottomless. Bai Jiu frowned. Let's be careful. However, just as he finished speaking, Lin Yu jumped off the stone staircase and flew down the middle of the spiral staircase like a free fall. Damn! Bai Jiu was shocked. This kid was too risky. He hurriedly sped up to catch up. However, he walked, while Lin Yu fell directly from the middle. In just a few breaths, he reached the bottom. He didn't care about Bai Jiu's position. He guessed that he was still coming down from the top. Lin Yu slowly approached. The darkness was illuminated by his obsidian chi, revealing the complete appearance of the figure. It was an incomparably huge altar. Chapter 804. There was such a huge altar under the city of the 10-square world. Lin Yu couldn't see the end of the altar because of the dark environment, but he was attracted to the center of the altar. There, countless pitch-black chains gathered together as if they were imprisoning something. Lin Yu felt a powerful aura on the chains. The aura was so strong that it surpassed the four symbols realm, the 10,000 spirits realm, and reached the Spirit King realm. Every chain had the aura of a Spirit King realm cultivator. It was hard to imagine, and the aura of those chains was slightly different. Lin Yu could tell that there were at least 100 Spirit King realm cultivators gathered on these chains. But even the current god list only had 30 Spirit King realm cultivators. If the demon god list was included, perhaps there were only 60 or so Spirit King realm cultivators in the 3 realms and 5 regions. An expert of this level was already in existence that was as rare as phoenix feathers and Shilin horns. But Lin Yu could already feel the aura of so many Spirit King realm cultivators on this altar. This place doesn't belong to the 3 realms and 5 regions. Or, because the history is too long, the Spirit King realm cultivators who left their auras on it no longer exist in this era. He slowly approached and came to the center of the altar. A domineering wave swept over, and Lin Yu's battle body was instantly annihilated. Even if he was at the peak of the 3 elements in one equilibrium realm. However, he didn't even have the right to walk on the altar. Oh no, Bai Jiu was shocked. Because he came from the demon realm, he was far more sensitive to auras than others. He could feel that Lin Yu's aura had disappeared in an instant. Bai Jiu couldn't care too much and jumped down after Lin Yu. Soon he saw the altar, and not far in front of the altar, blood splattered all over the ground. Damn it, this kid is too impulsive. Bai Jiu stomped his feet in anger. He had thought that he had found a reliable ally, but who knew that it would die just like that? He looked at the altar in front of him with fear. However, at the center of the altar, where the chains converged, there was a ball of blue flame. This flame was not the flame of the mortal world. Instead, it carried an aura of death. However, apart from this aura of death, Bai Jiu also felt an inexplicable attraction. Heaven Demon. Confusion appeared in Bai Jiu's eyes for a moment. Because of this confusion, Bai Jiu took a step forward and subconsciously approached the altar. He had already walked to the place where Lin Yu had died. As they continued forward, the terrifying power enveloped them. It's over. By the time Bai Jiu regained his senses, he already knew that he couldn't dodge. Just like Lin Yu, he would die here. However, the moment the power swept over, a suction force appeared behind Bai Jiu at the same time. The devouring starry sky was activated and directly pulled Bai Jiu's battle physique back dozens of feet. Whoosh! The moment Bai Jiu left the place, a white light swept in front of him. It was that white light that had killed Lin Yu just now. His body is imprisoned, but his tail can still move. A familiar voice sounded. Bai Jiu had just experienced a life-and-death crisis and hadn't recovered yet. When he heard this voice, he was stunned again. He turned around and saw Lin Yu standing behind him, unharmed, and his right hand had just dispersed the devouring starry sky. Thank you, Captain. Bai Jiu bowed deeply. Lin Yu didn't die and saved him. How'd he do it? Bai Jiu was sure that Lin Yu's aura suddenly disappeared and there were traces of his blood on the ground. Then Lin Yu must have experienced the process of being attracted and killed by the blue demonic fire, just like him. But how did Lin Yu escape? If Lin Yu hadn't saved him in time, he would have died on the ground. Captain, how did you avoid that thing? Bai Jiu stared warily at the white light outside the blue fire. I have my ways. Otherwise, how can I be the captain? Lin Yu smiled faintly. Fortunately, he had prepared the space-time reset beforehand. Otherwise, he would have really died at that moment. At this moment, he carefully looked at the white light outside the blue fire again. The more he looked, the more he felt that it was a tail. With his combat strength, and by Jiu's peak 4 symbols realm cultivation, he was only a step away from stepping into the 10,000 spirit realm. Yet, he almost died under this tail. If it appeared in its complete form, Lin Yu couldn't imagine how powerful this heavenly demon was. We can't afford to offend this thing. I'm afraid even the experts on the celestial god list can't afford to offend it. Captain, let's go. Bai Jiu was already frightened by the scene just now. He watched as the white tail retracted into the blue fire, as if nothing had happened. But Bai Jiu didn't have the greed for the heavenly demon in the beginning. This move was too dangerous. It seemed that I guessed wrong. There might not be only heavenly demons inside. Bai Jiu said again, but he saw the excitement in Lin Yu's eyes. Since you're here, Lin Yu's voice sounded, but it was interrupted by the outside world. Someone is attacking our city, Yi Zichen said. Bai Jiu frowned. They had just settled down here not long ago, and someone was already attacking. He didn't know where this person came from to have such a fast speed. Captain, go and help them first, Lin Yu said. Bai Jiu could tell that Lin Yu hadn't given up on the heavenly demon. Captain, be careful. Although Bai Jiu wanted to dissuade him, Lin Yu was the captain. Secondly, he hadn't seen Lin Yu's means, but he understood that Lin Yu could avoid the first danger and even save him. Perhaps there was really a way to get close to the heavenly demon. Bai Jiu stepped into the air and left. Outside world. The people attacking at this moment were Kill of 3 Lives and his group. A group of shrimp soldiers and crab generals actually dare to form a formation beside our territory. But this formation is not bad. Kill of 3 Lives laughed. Beside him were Sure Rulai and White Impermanence. The 3 of them were all at the peak of the 4 symbols realm. Even when facing Qin Yi's group of 4, they weren't afraid at all. Lin Xiu, join us if you know what's good for you. You and I are both from the Middle Sea area. There's no need to mix with lowly people like them. White Impermanence said to Lin Xiu. A devilish smile appeared on Lin Xiu's face. He had seen White Impermanence's methods with his own eyes. This person was ruthless. Back then, when they were fighting for the sequence in their sea area, White Impermanence had already killed thousands of mortals in order to win, including many women, children, and children. Lin Xiu only found out later that White Impermanence's actions were just to use the blood of 1,000 people to use the last move of his cultivation technique. With that move, White Impermanence successfully killed all his opponents and became the sequence. Then, Lin Xiu no longer had the strength to fight at that time, and White Impermanence was the only survivor other than Lin Xiu. Hence, the 2 of them became the sequence. But Lin Xiu didn't have any good impression of White Impermanence. In fact, he had long wanted to kill him. After all, when he became the Heavenly Emperor, although he had killed many people, he had never touched those mortals who didn't have the glory aura. That was his bottom line. And people like White Impermanence could kill without any bottom line for their own cultivation. Since you came here yourself, then I won't be polite and will take your life. Lin Xiu's white hair fluttered as a murderous black light soared into the sky. At the same time, raging flames burned in the black aura. That was the golden crow black flames. Chapter 805. Interesting, Lin Xiu. You don't think that you can defeat me just because we are both in the same sequence, right? White Impermanence laughed and spread out his hands. I am at the peak of the 4 symbols realm. You fool, you're only at the early stage of the 4 symbols realm and you want to fight me? With that said, he took a step forward, and his entire body erupted with black and white auras. The two auras instantly formed black and white skulls that locked their cold eyes on Lin Xiao. "I'll leave him to you," Kill of 3 Lives said. "No problem. You have to be quick. There are others to deal with." Kill of 3 Lives' gaze landed on Qin Yi. "She is mine." "Excellent, excellent." 10,000 Buddha halls, Sure Rely sighed. "After you are done, can this poor monk also?" Kill of 3 Lives' face bloomed with joy. White Impermanence also laughed. "So Master has such a refined interest. The 7 emotions and 6 desires are the path that must be taken to cultivate my Buddhist Tao." Sure Rely chuckled. "If you don't experience the 7 emotions and 6 desires, how can you transcend the great Tao?" He had a serious look on his face, as if he was already imagining the scene after getting Qin Yi. But Kill of 3 Lives was a little unhappy. "Master, what do you think of that female Yama?" He didn't want to give up Qin Yi. After all, Qin Yi was simply too beautiful. Kill of 3 Lives was certain that he had never met such a beautiful woman in his life. This woman has a bad temper, but it's not impossible to sleep with her. As Sure Rulai said, the Buddha beads on his body had already scattered. The chain with the Buddhist beads emitted halos of light. It was connected to the Buddha beads. On the Buddha beads, Sanskrit chants came out, causing Sure Rulai to be bathed in holy light. However, it was under this kind of light. The others didn't expect that Sure Rulai would actually say such shameless words just now. "Junior sister, it seems that we have a fierce battle." Yama's face was gloomy. She didn't know why. At this moment, she thought of Lin Yu. This guy and Bai Jiu entered the seal under the city together. They hadn't come out yet, and she didn't know what they went in for. After all, Lin Yu was the team leader. At this time, the enemy was right in front of them, but as the team leader, Lin Yu was nowhere to be seen. This made the Queen of Hell a little unhappy. "Senior sister, let's just stall for time and wait for him to return." Qin Yi's eyes flashed with trust. The female King of Hell felt a little helpless. Do you still trust him at this point? Facing this group of experts, the battle prowess of 3 Lives Kill had far surpassed theirs. He was the only expert present who had stepped into the 10,000 spirit realm. As for Sure Rulai and White Impermanence, they were only slightly weaker. However, compared to them, his cultivation level was still much higher. At this moment, Bai Wuchang was already fighting with Lin Xiao. Lin Yuan touched his hand, and the sound of bones cracking could be heard. "Leave him to me." Lin Yuan's gaze fell on Sure Rulai. It seemed that Lin Yuan wanted to try Sure Rulai's Buddhism. As for Qin Yi and Yama, they were stopped by the Kill of 3 Lives. "The heavens are helping me. I actually met 2 stunning beauties at the same time." The Kill of 3 Lives Kill knew that he couldn't delay for too long, so when his voice fell, he had already attacked Qin Yi. "Junior sister, be careful." "Idiot." The Kill of 3 Lives Kill's palm power erupted. It seemed to be aimed at Qin Yi, but it was actually a diversion to the Queen of Hell. In just an instant, the Queen of Hell struggled to block the palm of the 10,000 spirit realm, and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Unable to withstand a single blow, the bitter battle above began. Bai Jiu came out of the seal and glanced below worriedly. Does this guy really intend to continue to entangle with the Sky Demon? He remembered that Lin Yu's initial purpose was to make a deal with the Sky Demon. But when Bai Jiu saw the power of the Sky Demon, he had already dispelled this idea. Unfortunately, Lin Yu didn't give up. Kill of 3 Lives Kill. Bai Jiu stared gloomily at the battlefield in the distance. "Well, I will vent on you guys." After being shocked by the Sky Demon, his self-esteem as the #1 genius of a monster realm had been greatly reduced. At this moment, he urgently needed to prove himself with new achievements. Damn it, why is Bai Jiu of the monster realm here? Bai Jiu took the lead to join the battle between Lin Yuan and Sure Rulai. With one move, the fist power of the peak of the 4 symbol state directly broke the 3 Buddha beads of Sure Rulai. Sure Rulai spat out a mouthful of old blood and immediately cursed angrily. "No need for you." Lin Yuan's cold voice came, and he actually intended to fight Sure Rulai alone. Are you sure? Bai Jiu frowned, thinking that there was a gap of half a realm between Lin Yuan and Shi Rulai. But the look in Lin Yuan's eyes told Bai Jiu that this person had great confidence and certainty. To be more precise, Lin Yuan's current fighting spirit has reached the point of no return. He is eager to fight. It's a bit like those warlike monsters. Bai Jiu was helpless and had to fly to the side of white impermanence. However, Lin Xiu's eyes were the same as Lin Yuan's. I don't need you here, Lin Xiu said coldly. He had already heard the situation on Lin Yuan's side. Since Lin Yuan doesn't need help, he naturally doesn't need help. Otherwise, wouldn't he be defeated by Lin Yuan? If he can't even compete with Lin Yuan, how can he compare with Lin Yu? His pride doesn't allow him to do so. Go away, or I'll beat you up too. Lin Yuan's golden crow-black flames soared into the sky, forming a huge golden crow with open wings. The combat power spread out, and the tyrannical Yao energy mixed with the power of the divine object of the sky reflection mirror. Even Bai Jiu was a little shocked, and Bai Jiu could feel that this guy really included himself in the attack range. If he didn't leave, Lin Xiu would probably beat him up too. Crazy. Bai Jiu cursed. It was the first time he met such a weird person. And at the same time, he met two of them. He watched for a long time before his gaze fell on the battlefield, where Lin Yuan and Kill of 3 Lives were evenly matched. At this moment, Queen of Hell and Qin Yi were already struggling when they encountered Kill of 3 Lives. Do you two need my help? Chapter 806. As soon as he said this, Qin Yi and Yama looked at each other, and their hearts were filled with anger. But when he sensed that the two women wanted to reject him, Bai Jiu couldn't take it anymore. If he was rejected again, where would he put his face in the future? This was the sequence battle, and he, the #1 prodigy of the demon realm, was despised after forming an alliance with humans. Kill of 3 Lives, you killed a monster of my demon realm back then. Today is the time for me to take revenge. Bai Jiu shouted. Kill of 3 Lives was dumbfounded. I've never been to any demon realm. How can I kill you, monster? But how could Bai Jiu listen to his explanation? He just casually found a reason to start the fight. Damn it, this is an internal battle of our realm C. What does it have to do with your demon realm? You're crazy. Kill of 3 Lives was furious. Naturally, he didn't know that Bai Jiu had joined Lin Yu's camp. As for White 9, in order to display his value to the team, he had also taken this opportunity to fight. Although it was somewhat strange, it was something that he had snatched with great difficulty. As such, he had also gone all out against Kill of 3 Lives right from the start. In the sealed land, Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back, his face still calm. And in front of him, the blue flame was still jumping. The surrounding mysterious black chains formed an indestructible barrier. Even the terrifying existence in the blue flame could only attack within a limited space of a few feet. And Lin, you could also see that the tail just now wasn't the full strength of the existence in the blue flame. The strong often yearn for freedom. With your realm, you should want to leave here very much, right? Lin Yu smiled faintly. He knew that the thing in the blue flame didn't react, but he didn't give up just like that. He believed that the other party was, as Bai Jiu said, a top monster that had already gained intelligence. Such a demonic beast was no different from the top experts of the human race. How long have you been locked here? Or have you forgotten the time? That's right, there's no daylight here. Time is meaningless to you. Lin Yu slowly approached the altar, but he didn't reach it completely. He stood at the last safe distance. If he took another step forward, he would be attacked again. You can't come out because your physical body is imprisoned, right? My physical body is sealed, but my divine consciousness can leave my body. Why can't you leave your body? Lin Yu seemed to be talking to himself again. Only his voice echoed around the pitch-black altar. By the way, it's unimaginable for someone to carry such a powerful mind. So, no one would risk their life to be your carrier. Lin Yu shrugged helplessly. After such a long time, there have been many experts. On the demon god ranking list, Lord Heavenly Phoenix has a high position and is the leader. As for you, a small demon, you can only wallow in the dark land alone and never see the light of day. There were few sighs in his words. As soon as Lin Yu's voice fell, a white light swept across in front of him. The white light carried endless murderous intent. If Lin Yu were to move another 3 inches forward, he would definitely be annihilated again. A few strands of his hair flew up after being swept by the white light. When they floated forward, they turned into ashes. A satisfied smile appeared on Lin Yu's face. He didn't know what the relationship between the heavenly demon and the demon god ranking list was. But it didn't matter. As long as he said a few words about how the other monsters were living freely outside, the heavenly demon in the blue fire would naturally be jealous. Not only were humans jealous, but so were monsters. I can be your carrier. Lin Yu knew it was time. Human, get lost. A voice came from the blue fire for the first time. It was a woman's voice. It was ethereal and filled with killing intent and anger. It seems that the one who locked you here is also a human. Lin Yu guessed again. Lin Yu knew he had guessed correctly when the blue fire surged with anger again. Not all humans are the same. At least look at me. I'm a good person and I've killed many bad people. Lin Yu said calmly. The best way to resolve the other party's anger was to stand on the same side as her. Damned human, how did you survive? The voice came from the blue fire again. Lin Yu naturally understood that she was referring to the fact that he had already died once before, but he was still safe and sound. I have my ways. That's why I said I can be your carrier. Lin Yu's tone became more serious to show his sincerity. After the other party attacked a few times, Lin Yu was very satisfied with the other party's strength. This kind of strength seemed to be stronger than Venerable Wuya, and even compared to the Dark Priest. Lin Yu felt that if the other party could attack with all her strength, she might not lose to the Dark Priest. And the Dark Priest was in the top 10 of the Heavenly God list. You're not worthy of being in the 3 elements in one realm. A wave of disdain came from the blue fire. Hearing this, Lin Yu's face twitched. Forget it. Since you're willing to stay here, just pretend I've never been here. Lin Yu turned around and was about to leave, but he walked very slowly. This was Lin Yu's intention. In the dark land, under the city's 1,000 stairs, the only sound was the ticking of footsteps. Lin Yu walked up. He didn't fly, and every step he took was to give the blue fire time to think. 100 steps, 200 steps, 300 steps. Just as Lin Yu saw the light coming from above the city, the blue fire in the chain flashed. Unless you step into the 10,000 soul realm. The other party could tell at a glance that Lin Yu cultivated the 3 elements in one realm. And now, the existence of the blue fire plus the conditions of the 10,000 soul realm. This made Lin Yu understand that there was a chance of cooperation. I can step into the 4 symbols realm at any time. Lin Yu stopped. Too slow. Is the divine object in your body just a decoration? The blue fire said again. 3 elements in one realm. Divine object. This was the second secret that the other party saw through Lin Yu. This thing is not complete and can't be called a real divine object. What does it have to do with my cultivation? You're underestimating the heaven and man integration talisman. The blue fire jumped. When she said the heaven and man integration talisman, Lin Yu had already turned around and landed in front of the altar again. I only have the combination talisman, Lin Yu said, and in the blue fire, there was a sneer. The heaven and man integration talisman only has the combination talisman. Stupid human, do you think there are a total of 4 heaven and man integration talismans? Lin Yu didn't say anything, but nodded. The answer he said he knew in the Sky Desert universe was indeed so. The heaven and man integration talisman has 5 elements, not 4 talismans. Lanhua knew that Lin Yu was already interested. However, she kept her mouth shut and didn't say anything. Since you've already decided to cooperate, why are you hesitating? Chapter 807. It was the existence within Lanhua. After hearing Lin Yu's words, it remained silent. Lin Yu could sense that it was taking revenge on him for playing hard to get. He seemed to turn around and leave, but in fact, he was walking very slowly. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell what he meant. Since you know that I can ignore your attacks, and that I have the three essences in one and a divine item, you should know that I can bring you out. Lin Yu said again, if you don't say anything, I'm leaving. I think you need the opportunity to cooperate more than me. Lin Yu smiled faintly. And I, even without your help, with the resources I have, my future achievements will not be low. He had already made his intentions clear. Lin Yu needed Lan Hua's strength, and Lan Hua needed freedom. This was the deal that Lin Yu presented. Humans cannot be trusted. Lan Hua's voice came out. Although it was still angry, Lin Yu knew that this guy's attitude had softened a lot. How can you trust me? Lin Yu asked again. Perhaps because the other party had a female voice, Lin Yu's tone became gentler. After all, this was his usual trick to deal with women. Unless you walk up. Lan Hua suddenly laughed. Walk up to the altar, and I'll believe you. If Bai Jio was here, he would definitely think that the other party was crazy. After experiencing the fear of being almost killed by Lan Hua, he naturally would not agree. But the one standing here was Lin Yu. That's simple. Lin Yu shrugged his shoulders and walked to the altar. Think carefully. You can escape from death once, but you might not be able to escape a second time. Lan Hua warned Lin Yu. Flames flickered. The sounds of battle continued to come from above. Lin Yu knew the combat strength of the newcomers. From the sounds of battle, he could tell that they were from Qin Yi and the others, and they had not used their full strength, which meant that the opponents were not strong. Therefore, Lin Yu wasn't in a hurry to leave. He took another step forward. His footsteps shifted, and he was already at the edge of life and death. As long as he continued forward, he would be within the attack range of the white light from before. Why? Are you scared? Lan Hua's ethereal laughter reverberated. His voice was filled with contempt. Sure enough, humans are all the same. Timid, cowardly, untrustworthy, shameless. But before she could stop laughing, Lin Yu had already taken a step forward. You're not afraid of death. Above the blue fire, a white tail flew up again. The tail was incomparably huge, like a white dragon bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws, dancing in front of Lin Yu. On the other hand, Lin Yu's expression didn't change at all. Instead, he smiled mockingly. Meanwhile, he took another step forward. 2 steps. 3 steps. He even arrived in front of blue fire. I'm here. Lin Yu looked down at the flame that was only half a zhang above the ground. Do you believe me now? You are courting death. An even angrier voice came from within blue fire. Lin Yu's actions were clearly provoking her. Blue fire preferred people like Bai Jio, who fled in fear when he saw blue fire. Blue fire was very satisfied with that kind of fear. But Lin Yu was a human who didn't fear her at all. In a sense, he was looking down on her. In the next moment, the white tail shot out and stabbed directly at Lin Yu's head. At this time, Lin Yu's clothes fluttered without wind. But his expression didn't change at all. He was still looking down at blue fire, not even looking at the white tail that was stabbing at his head. This attack was enough to kill him and Bai Jio in an instant. The white tail approached in an instant. It came out from blue fire, circled above Lin Yu, and quickly fell again. 1 zhang, 5 zhang, 5 zhang, 1 zhang. It was only an inch away from Lin Yu's eyebrows. And it was only an inch away, but it didn't move even half a step forward. You are so confident that I won't kill you? The white tail floated between his eyebrows. Lin Yu saw it clearly for the first time at such a close distance. He guessed right. It was indeed a tail. A fox's tail. Was it a fox spirit? Lin Yu asked in his heart, but he didn't say it out loud. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would be killed. I said that I need your strength, and you need my strength to take you out of here. Lin Yu spread his hands and pushed the tail away. If you kill me, how many years do you plan to wait before you can get out of here? You are not the first human to come in, and you are not the first human to say that you will take me out. Blue Fire's voice came again. Obviously, her tone was much gentler than before. Others came in here? Lin Yu asked curiously. Too many. Too many. They all died here. There are also many who left out of fear. But they all want my strength just like you. Blue fire flickered. The area around the altar was originally pitch black. Because divine thought couldn't be seen here, Lin Yu didn't know what it was. At this moment, The flame flashed, and it reflected hundreds of thousands of corpses. The altar was surrounded by skeletons and bones. It seems that many people have been here. Others might be shocked, but Linyu had seen so many corpses and killed so many people that he couldn't even count them. This scene was nothing to him. The white tail was retracted by blue fire. Linyu saw this and continued, "Since I have shown my sincerity, it is your turn now. What is the secret of the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman?" Blue fire flickered. The universe is filled with Yao Qi. In ancient times, there was no distinction between heaven and earth, so the Yao Qi back then was heaven. Human is the host of the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman. Now it is talking about you. The Heaven Man Oneness Talisman can devour the Yao Qi of others. You should know this. Linyu nodded. This was natural. He had used the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman to devour the Yao Qi of others, but unfortunately, he couldn't completely use it for himself. The Yao Qi was the cultivation of others. After entering the Oneness Talisman, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, disappearing without a trace. Linyu had also tried to draw out the Yao Qi inside, but in the end, he failed. You can't use the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman now. Blue fire seemed to see through Linyu's thoughts and said contemptuously, "How can a mere four-symbol state be qualified to use such a divine item?" Linyu cursed. "If I can't use it, how can I use the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman to break through?" He remembered that this fox spirit said at the beginning that with the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman, he could quickly break through to the 10,000 spirit state. "I can help you activate the Heaven Man Oneness Talisman and let the Yao Qi fuse with you, allowing you to break through. Of course, whether you can bear my power depends on your luck." Chapter 808. Linyu frowned. "But is the power inside enough for me to break through?" The fusion rune shone between his eyebrows. Linyu knew that when he could activate the union of heaven and man, he would need to wait. The fusion rune was a true divine item, the union of heaven and man talisman. If Lanhua hadn't told him this, Linyu might have needed another 1,000,000 years to comprehend it. After all, the description of a union of heaven and man that was left behind in the Sky Desert universe was wrong. Not enough. Lanhua didn't even need time to think. Linyu guessed that this guy could not only see the fusion rune in his body, but he could also see the power accumulated in the fusion rune. How much more? Linyu already knew how to use the fusion rune. It was like a container that could absorb and store Yao Qi cultivation. And this container could only be used by him after activating the union of heaven and man. The most important thing now was to store enough power in the fusion rune for him to break through. 3 or 4 of those weak humans above should be enough. As soon as Lanhua finished speaking, Linyu smiled and walked down the altar. "Human, bring them here. I can only activate the union of heaven and man for you." "Okay," Linyu nodded. Just as he was about to turn around, he heard the ethereal voice again. "Human, what is your name?" "Linyu, what about you?" "You'll know when you save me." Linyu smiled. He knew that Lanhua didn't want him to bring them here just for himself. He guessed that Lanhua also needed more food to provide him with the power to activate the union of heaven and man otherwise. With Lanhua's limited ability, what he could do was limited. Linyu left the underground altar. When he appeared in the city outside, he saw a kill of 3 lives, Shirulai, and the others. "Linyu, come and help." Yama shouted immediately, her face full of joy. At this moment, they already had the upper hand. It was only a matter of time before they could defeat their opponent. As for the killer of 3 lives and the others, they had also gathered together. One after another, injuries appeared on the 3 of them. Should I kill him? Baijio and the others came to Linyu's side. With the appearance of Linyu, the battle temporarily stopped. Go! It seemed like Linyu's appearance had already predicted that they would run into a wall today. Just Baijio alone was enough to hold back all of the killer of 3 lives. As for Lin Yuan and Lin Xiao, although their realms were only at the early stage of the 4 Symbols realm. However, the 2 of them were actually able to fight Shirulai and White Impermanence to a draw. Coupled with Qin Yi and Yama's battle prowess, it was impossible for them to resist. Keep him alive. As soon as Lin Yu spoke, Lin Yuan and Lin Xiu acted immediately and stopped the three of them. When the killer of three lives wanted to take the opportunity to rush out of the encirclement, he was also blocked by Jiu, Qinyi, and Yama. Did I let you go? Bai Jiu sneered. He didn't expect that the battle prowess of Lin Yu's camp was so powerful. He was considered to have come to the right camp. Lin Yu, you and I are both people of the Realm Sea. Why do you have to be so ruthless? The killer of three lives' face twitched. He was clear about the current situation. He had failed miserably. Not only did he underestimate the battle prowess of Lin Yu's group, but he also didn't expect Bai Jiu to be here. Take him down, Lin Yu said to Bai Jiu. At the same time, dazzling light constantly came from the realm of five elements. That was the light produced by the continuous occupation of the territory, and in the realm of five elements. At this moment, apart from Lin Yu and the killer of three lives camp, the strongest third camp belonged to Lei Dong's group, and the current commotion was clearly caused by them. Seems like Lei Dong's people will soon notice this place. Qinyi returned to Lin Yu's side and said softly. Her beautiful face revealed some worry. Those territories were clearly approaching them, like toppling mountains and overturning seas. That was Lei Dong's group continuously expanding their territory. It was different from the realm of five elements above. In the realm of five elements above, there were people from the heaven domain and the primitive continent. There were also people from the four regions fighting. The two realms and four regions were in the realm of five elements. Compared to the realm of five elements, the realm of five elements below only had the internal strife of the realm C and the representative of the demon domain, Bai Jiu. The competition was naturally much less. Hence, Lei Dong would definitely take this opportunity to occupy more territories, because he knew that the people from the heaven domain and the primitive continent were destined to come down to the realm of five elements after ending the battle above. At that time, he would definitely lose a lot of territories. And now, the territories that Lei Dong occupied were his capital. In a situation where he was bound to lose, Lei Dong was increasing his capital. Let's end this quickly. Lin Yu instantly made his move, directly charging towards kill of three lives. Lin Yu, you and I are both people from the Realm Sea. Kill of three lives was a little panicked. He knew that Lin Yu had the combat strength to instantly kill domineering Blade Guyi. His true strength was not as simple as it looked. If it was only Lin Yu alone, kill of three lives would not be so worried. But now, as Lin Yu made his move, Bai Jiu, Qinyi, and the female Yama also made their moves at the same time. The sound of explosions continuously came from the battlefield. In the distance, the people from Lei Dong's camp had already noticed the commotion here. Those two teams of trash started fighting. Boss, should we go and kill them? First, occupy this place. These stinky demonic beasts are a hindrance. Lei Dong snorted coldly. A whip that exploded with lightning in his hand directly killed three demonic beasts below, in the realm of 10 elements. Not only were they in the echelon, there were also many demonic beasts running rampant. Therefore, their occupation was not as smooth as it seemed. Let's wait for them to fight, then we'll reap the benefits. Lei Dong said. In the city where the heavenly demon seal was located, Lin Yu's group had already taken down kill of three lives. Damn it, Lin Yu, I won't let you go when I get out. Get out. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows, directly pressed down on the heavily injured kill of three lives' head, and went down to the place where the seal was located. I'm coming, Lin Yu said to Lan Hua. The hearts of Qin Yi and the others tightened. They all felt a chill and danger in this place. It was their first time here, so they naturally felt unfamiliar. Bai Jiu, on the other hand, showed a more nervous expression than them. Are you afraid? The female Yama asked curiously. What a joke. I've been here before. What's there to be afraid of? Bai Jiu retorted. Then why are you trembling? The female Yama said unhappily. Bai Jiu's eyes, however, saw Lin Yu walking towards the altar. Be careful. The heavenly demon will kill you. He suddenly shouted loudly, and everyone immediately noticed Lin Yu's position, and their hearts trembled with fear. Chapter 809. It doesn't matter. Even after hearing what the others said, Lin Yu only smiled faintly and walked into the altar. Bai Jiu thought that Lin Yu was dead for sure and wanted to stop him, but he was not as fast as Lin Yu. Due to the distance, before Bai Jiu could reach the altar, Lin Yu had already gone in. It's over. This kid is asking for death. Bai Jiu's face was full of fear. He was different from the others. Only he and Lin Yu had experienced the life-or-death attack of the heavenly demon. He knew how terrifying the heavenly demon was. Under the influence of that power, whether it was cultivation or speed, even he, who was in the sequence, was no match for it. However, just as Bai Jiu and the others thought that there was going to be a life-or-death crisis on the altar, Lin Yu's steady footsteps were still heard. Is everything all right? Bai Jiu watched as Lin Yu walked unhurriedly in front of the blue fire. Although only 1/10 of the blue fire was exposed, the people could still clearly see the flickering light on it. It was strange and fascinating. In the beginning, Bai Jiu was attracted by this fascinating feeling and almost died at the edge of the altar. But what was going on now? What are you worrying about? You scared us to death. The female king of hell said in a bad mood. From the beginning, Bai Jiu had been startled when he came in, making them nervous. But now, Lin Yu was in an extremely safe state. There was no danger or certain death. Could it be that the leader has already? Bai Jiu could not believe it. Could it be that while he was away, Lin Yu had already convinced the heavenly demon and reached an agreement? He knew the heavenly demon better than anyone else. The strength and ruthlessness of the heavenly demon were not something that humans could compare to. In addition, the way demonic beasts acted was even more stubborn. Once they determined that they were hostile to humans, they would not let it go easily. But the truth was right in front of him. The heaven demon was no longer attacking Lin Yu. I brought him here. After Lin Yu said that, his 5 fingers turned into claws. He split the devouring space into 3 parts. At the same time, he pulled 3 lives kill by Wu Chang and Shur Tathagata onto the altar. It's a bit slow. A light and seductive voice came from the blue flames. Everyone was shocked. Even Bai Jiu, who had been here before, heard Lan Huahui's voice for the first time. Obviously, this was not the first time Lin Yu had heard this. This flame, is it alive? Qin Yi and the others were shocked. Lin Yuan, who also came from the body of a monster beast, had a strong hostility when he heard this voice. Rather than saying it was hostility, it was more like a sense of competition. He could clearly feel that the one inside the blue flames was a demonic beast that had taken human form like him. However, at the same time, the other party was much stronger than him. This was an instinctive hostility. There's one more interesting little thing. Is it your demonic beast? Lan Huahui laughed again, with a bit of arrogance and contempt in his tone. Lin Yu glanced at Lin Yuan, knowing that the other party was talking about him. It's my demonic beast, Lin Yu said confidently, and there was a hint of deliberate protectiveness in his tone. Don't worry, I won't hurt him. Lan Huahui sneered, but he was also somewhat satisfied with Lin Yu's answer. At least, it seems that this young man has experience in coexisting peacefully with demonic beasts. Let's start. As Lan Huahui's voice fell, the fusion symbol between Lin Yu's eyebrows suddenly burst out with an amazing light. What is this? While everyone was shocked, 3 lives kill, and the others immediately felt that the light on the fusion symbol had locked onto them like tentacles at this moment. At the moment when it locked onto them, their power was constantly being sucked away. Lin Yu, let me go. I am from the Middle Current Sea region. You and I are from the Realm Sea. 3 lives kill was extremely regretful, and Shur Rulai also knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. As for Bai Wu Chang, he shouted, Lin Xiu, Master wants you and me to cooperate after entering this place. Have you forgotten? Lin Xiu smiled evilly and was too lazy to care. When Bai Wu Chang attacked him previously, why didn't he think of cooperating? Now that death was at hand, he played the emotional card. Unfortunately, his state of mind was the same as Lin Yu's. He was never a saint and would not be swayed by such regret before death. After all, they had become like this because they courted death step by step. From the beginning, before entering 10 Square World, he had already warned Lin Yu and the others. After entering, he and domineering Blai Guyi ambushed Lin Yu together. The current situation was just Lin Yu returning an eye for an eye. No, no. 3 lives kill let out a mournful roar. My skill, my skill. Ah. The fusion rune burst out with incomparably sacred light and directly swallowed all the strength of the 3. At the same time, the 3 of them quickly lost their vitality. In the blue fire, the white tail flew out again and tied up the battle bodies of the 3 people at the same time. That's it. Gio shouted. He knew clearly that it was the white tail that had traumatized him from the beginning. As for the others, they also felt an extremely dangerous feeling when the white tail passed by in an instant. Because in the blink of an eye, 3 lives kill and the other 2 people's bodies were gone. A satisfied voice came from the blue flame. At the same time, there was the sound of bones being crunched and broken. Lin Yu closed his eyes because he sensed that the blue fire was controlling his fusion rune after swallowing the battle bodies of the 3 people. This was a very dangerous move. At this moment, if the blue fire used the fusion rune to devour him, he would lose completely. So Lin Yu had already activated the ability to repeat time and space at any time before. He was not an impulsive person who would unconditionally trust a stranger. Fortunately, the blue fire seemed to only be able to detect the divine item and his cultivation, but it could not detect the existence of the system. Relax, human. The monster race is different from you. We won't harm you. The blue fire's voice came. Lin Yu tried to relax his mind. At the same time, the fusion rune's light became even more dazzling. Qin Yi and the others felt a sense of oppression. Lin Yu's aura, the peak of the equilibrium stage, was skyrocketing at this moment. Obviously, he was breaking through to the 4-division stage. At this moment, the sound of collision came from above the city again. Someone else is coming. Qin Yi frowned. Now that 3 lives kill and the other forces of the realm of 5 elements have been eliminated, the only one left was the more powerful Upper Sea Alliance. Let's go out and meet the enemy, Bai Jiu said and stepped into the air. At the same time, he glanced at Lin Yu again. Is this what you want to achieve? I hope you can quickly appear in front of us in a stronger state. Chapter 8:10. Bai Jiu rushed out, while Qin Yi and the others looked at Lin Yu, who was meditating cross-legged. Brother Lin Yu, I won't let anyone disturb you. Qin Yi knew that with Lin Yu's current strength, he could fight with an expert at the peak of the 4 Symbols realm. Once Lin Yu successfully broke through, he would even have the strength to fight against a 10,000 soul realm expert. And the upper limit of the sequence's combat strength was the 9th level of the 10,000 soul realm. Because once one stepped into the Spirit King realm, they would be eligible for the God list. In the outside world, the fluctuations of the battle sounded again. And in Lanhua, there was also a laughter. Trash from the 10,000 soul realm is here. Looks like your companion won't be able to hold on for long. Lin Yu closed his eyes and was feeling the accumulated energy in the fusion rune, which was constantly seeping into his body. Although the energy in the fusion rune came from different warriors, it had been transformed into the fusion rune. However, this energy had already been converted into the purest form of energy by the combination rune, as if it was the purest energy that originally existed in the world. Only then did Lin Yu know that this was the meaning of heaven in the Unity rune. And now, what this person had to do was to absorb all of this heaven-grade energy. Lin Yu felt that he was at the critical point of breaking through. Just a little bit more, and he could break through to the 4 Symbols realm. How many 10,000 soul realm experts are there? Lin Yu asked. Lanhua jumped. Kid, do you want to die? You still dare to be distracted at this time? Lanhua reprimanded Lin Yu, but he observed that Lin Yu's state was still stable and calm. Good kid, you have such calmness at such a young age. You can multitask. Even with Lanhua's experience, He couldn't help but praise Lin Yu at this moment. 2. So your companion won't be able to hold on for long. An hour. Lin Yu gave the time himself, and Lan Ho agreed. However, Lin Yu felt a strange sensation. He had clearly already reached the peak of the three elements in one equilibrium realm, but why was he still missing the final step? However, at this final step, even with the inexhaustible influx of energy, it still wasn't saturated. There's a problem with my four-symbol stage. Lin Yu asked. Lanhua chuckled. Do you think that a person who has fused three elements into one has a four-symbol stage? Lanhua's words made Lin Yu frown again. This was the second time he felt that the knowledge he received was wrong. It seemed that what he had learned in the Sky Desert universe was still incomplete. At least in the three realms and five domains world, the history here was so long that the Sky Desert universe couldn't compare to it. Hence, the information was much more accurate. In addition, Lanhua was an old monster who had lived for tens of thousands of years. Lin Yu naturally believed Lanhua's words. I don't have the four-symbol stage. Of course not. A long time ago, the four-star realm was known as the half-step transcendent immortal realm. That is an incomplete realm that only belongs to ordinary martial artists. When he heard about the half-step transcendent immortal realm, Lin Yu suddenly became more curious. Half-step transcendent immortal realm. That was the hierarchy of the Sky Desert universe. He had just thought that the Sky Desert universe's history was shorter than the three realms and five domains world. However, Lanhua's words had overturned his view. Emperor of Equalization, half-step transcendent immortal realm, is the 10,000 souls stage. Lin Yu mentioned the hierarchy of the Sky Desert universe. This time, it was Lanhua's turn to be stunned. How do you know? From a small world, I know. Lin Yu's bright eyes were filled with memories. He had been reincarnated in that world for 100,000 years and had experienced more than 30 million repetitions of a day. He had also understood all the knowledge there. A time that doesn't belong to the three realms and five domains world. After Lin Yu finished speaking, Lanhua suddenly said, Sacred land ruins? Sacred land ruins? Lin Yu knew that these words represented different meanings. You will know in the future. Lanhua did not give an answer directly. Instead, he smiled and said, With your current strength, you are not qualified to know about the sacred land. After listening, Lin Yu could only close his eyes. He knew that now was not the time to delve into it. After all, the others were still outside waiting for him to break through. As for him, he only had an hour. I don't have the four-symbol state. Once I break through, I will be in the 10,000 soul state. Lin Yu's bright eyes were filled with realization. At this moment, he no longer carefully absorbed the energy. Instead, he let the symbol between his eyebrows form a monstrous energy cyclone and frantically poured it into his body. I see. You've been holding back just now? Lanhua thought that Lin Yu's initial absorption speed was his limit. However, now it seemed that Lin Yu might have thought that he would break through to the four-symbol state at any time. Therefore, he deliberately lowered his absorption speed to prevent accidents, such as chi deviation from absorbing too quickly. However, Lin Yu now knew that he did not have the four-symbol state. Therefore, if he wanted to break through to the 10,000 soul state, he would need more energy than now. Even if I absorb all of it, it's still not enough. Lin Yu frowned. More than half of the remaining energy in the symbol had been used up. With your current speed, you might be able to break through in an hour. Lanhua smiled in satisfaction. Suddenly, a white tail appeared again. Now, it's your turn to bear my power. The white tail, floating above Lin Yu's head, was like the most lethal blade in the world. The blade was above his head. If White Nine was here, he reckoned that he would have already run away in fright. Lin Yu, on the other hand, looked very excited. He knew that it meant that the sky demon blue fire was about to merge with him. Kid, hold on. This is what you promised me. The white tail instantly fell and collided with the symbol. The vertical was the sky demon's power pouring in. The horizontal was the symbol's energy cyclone. At this moment, Lin Yu was bathed in the two forces. His divine sense suddenly skyrocketed at this moment. He felt that in this altar world where divine sense could not be used to observe, his divine sense could actually penetrate everything here. 210,000 soul realm experts. Lin Yu saw that by Jiao, Qin Yi, Lin Yuan, Lin Xiao, and Yama were fighting with all their might. And their opponent was only one person. There were a total of 210,000 soul realm experts. One of them did not make a move. Instead, he looked at the battle with contempt. He seemed to be looking for someone. He did not care about the people here. Instead, he was looking for someone who killed domineering Blade Guyi. In front of him, the other 10,000 soul realm expert was constantly letting out creepy laughter. As his laughter came out, ferocious demonic shadows turned into endless skulls and attacked Qin Yi and the others. Boring, too boring. No one can fight, ha ha ha. Chapter 8:11. This person seemed to be smiling, but in fact, he was ferocious. He was from the Upper Sea region, Emperor Fallen Sea region, Demon God Gui Shao, a 10,000 spirit realm powerhouse. Under the 10,000 spirit realm, Qin Yi and the others had no power to resist at all. Even if it was 5 against 1, they were still at a disadvantage. Is this the 10,000 spirit realm? Queen of Hell and the others had solemn expressions. They had already used all their strength, but the other party still had a feeling of teasing them. This kind of combat strength gap was too big, and Qin Yi, Lin Xiao, and the others also understood that the strength of the person in front of them was stronger than Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was only infinitely close to being a celestial immortal, but this person was a real 10,000 spirit realm, a real celestial immortal. The demonic shadow behind him was the representative power of the 10,000 spirit realm powerhouse, the Soul Seal. All of you are a bunch of trash. I am so disappointed. Demon God Gui Shao waved his hand, and Queen of Hell was the first to be defeated, spitting out several mouthfuls of blood. Damn it, senior sister, heal your injuries first, Qin Yi immediately said, and blissful rebirth's divine sense erupted. A goddess-like phantom rose from the ground and slammed down on Gui Zhao's soul seal. Hee, there's actually such a thing, awakening divine sense, Gui Xiao said and waved his hand again. The soul seal turned into thousands of skulls and collided with blissful rebirth's divine sense. Rumble. The earth cracked, and Qin instantly spat out a mouthful of blood essence. Her pretty face was much dispirited, and her divine sense was also injured in the collision just now. Your body should be delicious. Just as Gui Xiao used the soul seal again, Bai Jiao, Lin Yuan, and the others appeared at the same time. Above the sky, the golden crow's black flames locked onto Gui Xiao. Do you need help? Shimin Wushue's voice came. You're looking down on me, Shimin Wushue. You better not interfere in this battle, or I will teach you a lesson. Gui Xiao laughed a few times. In the battle, it was as if Qin Yi and the others were fighting with their backs to the river. It made him a lot more excited. Rumble. His soul seal turned into tentacles, first dispersing the black flames of the golden crow, and then repelling Lin Yuan's all-out attack. At the same time, after Lin Xiao landed, he wanted to use the power of the sky reflection mirror, but the soul imprint attacked again. It was so fast that Lin Xiao did not have any time to counterattack. Rumble. Lin Xiao was hit again. His entire body drew a deep mark on the ground and directly broke the city wall. Damn it! Bai Jiu gritted his teeth, and dozens of flames ignited. He was at the peak of the four-symbol stage. However, when he faced Gui Xiao, he felt that the difference between him and Gui Xiao was like heaven and earth. Was this the myriad soul realm he had been dreaming of? Burn it! The demonic fire burst forth like fire dragons that devoured the ghost laughter. Are you tickling me? Ghost laughter's disdainful voice rang out. With a wave of his soul seal, the skull above opened its mouth and bit down on the fire dragons. This thing seems to be connected to your divine consciousness. A strange expression suddenly appeared on Gue Xiao's face. In the next moment, he licked his lips. The skull was actually constantly devouring the fire dragons. Bai Jiu wanted to take back the fire dragons, but he found that he couldn't do it at all. The other party's soul seal had already locked onto his demonic fire, and these demonic fires were being constantly bitten and abused under Gue Xiao's evil taste. Stop, stop, Bai Jiu shouted. Lin Yuan and Yama, who had just recovered a little, rushed up again. The soul seal swung and the fire dragons turned into ashes. Bai Jiu also spat out a large mouthful of blood essence. Is it your turn? Gue Xiao chuckled. The soul seal erupted at a frightening speed. Lin Yuan threw a punch with all his strength and collided with one of the soul seals. A storm was set off in the middle of the two forces. The earthquake was intense. Lin Yuan's breathing was extremely heavy, but fortunately, he blocked this soul seal. Interesting, your combat body seems to be very powerful, Gue Xiao said again, and there was an excited laughter. At the same time, dozens of skulls suddenly appeared around Lin Yuan. You think you can rest after blocking my attack? Who gave you the courage? Gue Xiao said contemptuously. In the next moment, dozens of skulls kept attacking Lin Yuan. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Yuan was seriously injured and was bitten by one of the skulls. As for the female Yama, she was bitten by the skull on her waist. And you guys come together. Gue Xiao waved his hand, and the soul seal locked on a Qini Bai Jiu and Lin Xiu again. Swish, swish. All the skulls burst out. The three of them couldn't resist at all and were all bitten by him. 5-4 symbols realms are no different from trash. You guys dare to participate in the sequence battle? Gue Xiao looked at Shimin Wuxue. The other party said impatiently, Hurry up, Big Brother is running out of patience. Got it. Gue Xiao snorted coldly. He knew that Lei Dong and the others, their current main force, were preparing to fight the people from the upper world. The battle between the people of the Heaven Domain and the primitive continent was almost over, and the people of the Heaven Domain had obviously occupied more territory. Then the people of the primitive continent were bound to come down and compete with them for territory. These were the pinnacle battles of this sequence battle. And these people in front of him were just a group of small fries in Gue Xiao's eyes. There is no need for Lei Dong and the others to take action against small fries. Forget it. I don't have time to play with you guys anymore. All of you could go to hell. As Gue Xiao's voice fell, he was about to kill them. Under the city, a force suddenly burst out. This force soared into the sky. A beam of light directly shone in front of everyone. Bai Jiu immediately recognized that it was the sealed land where Lin Yu was. Captain is out, Bai Jiu shouted. At this moment of life and death crisis, Lin Yu was their only hope. Shimin Wushue's face revealed a hint of surprise. Is it the person with the blade? He moved and appeared at the edge of the beam of light in an instant. Captain, be careful. This was the first time female Yama took the initiative to call Lin Yu as captain. At this moment, she also understood that Lin Yu was their only hope. If Lin Yu fell, not only would they not be able to get the rewards of a sequence ranking, they might even lose their lives here. This was their first time participating in the sequence battle. They did not expect it to be so cruel. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Shimin Wuxue stood with his hands behind his back, looking down at the beam of light below, and from the beam of light, a figure slowly walked out. His temperament was otherworldly, his eyes were deep, and his black hair moved without wind. His gaze calmly looked above Gue Xiao's head, at the person who was bound by the soul seal and was in imminent danger. That was his companion. Chapter 8:12. Your opponent is me. If you want to save someone, you have to pass through me first. Shimin Wuxue was a bit surprised. Why couldn't he feel the other party's cultivation? How could someone who could cause such a commotion not have cultivation? Make your move. The reason why Shimin Wuxue came was to fight with the person who killed Domineering Blade Guyi. He didn't feel that the person who killed Domineering Blade Guyi was strong, but from the wound, he felt that the other party's blade skills were exquisite. The person who attacked, regardless of cultivation, was qualified to be his opponent just by looking at his blade skills. But Lin Yu didn't even look at Shimin Wuxiue and walked straight to Gui Shao. You're courting death. Shimin Wuxiue had been in the upper sea region of Border Sea for many years. Even Lei Dong didn't have the qualifications to be so disdainful of him. But now, Lin Yu was turning a blind eye to him. Since that's the case, you can die. Shimin Wuxiue wanted to compete with Lin Yu in terms of blade skills, but the other party's actions had completely infuriated him. At this moment, Shimin Wuxiue held his sword horizontally and turned around to look behind Lin Yu. A sword pierced over. "Captain, be careful!" Everyone shouted. A sword light instantly arrived. Lin Yu's hair fluttered, but he only tilted his head slightly. That sword light had just slashed across his face, but it didn't touch his body at all. To be more precise, he dodged it. How is this possible? Shimin Wuxiue turned pale with fright. He was confident that even an expert at Lei Dong's level would not be able to dodge it easily. But what was up with Lin Yu's speed? Lin Yu seemed to have predicted the position of his sword. It was an instinctive dodge, and he didn't dodge after sensing the danger of the sword energy. When Shimin Wuxiue's sword changed, planning to slash at Lin Yu's shoulder again, Lin Yu's right hand turned into an afterimage, and his fingertip flicked on Shimin Wuxiue's sword. A crisp sound, accompanied by a vast power, directly tore apart the web between Shimin Wuxiue's thumb and index finger. With a light flick of his finger, the heaven-grade divine sword nearly broke apart, and the tyrannical vibrations caused Shimin Wuxiue to retreat dozens of steps, at the same time injuring him. Strong, so powerful. Lin Yu didn't even look at Shimin Wuxiue from the beginning to the end. Shimin Wuxiue already knew that he was going to be defeated after a simple exchange of blows. Damn it, Shimin Wuxiue, what are you doing? Ghost Laughter also sensed that something was wrong. Shimin Wuxiue's earth-shattering sword strike was not only dodged by Lin Yu, but Shimin Wuxiue himself was also sent flying far away. Ghost Laughter was very clear about how strong Shimin Wuxiue was. Therefore, the current situation was definitely not simple. Consider yourselves lucky. Gui Shao snorted and left Lin Yuan and Lin Xiu behind. The moment the two of them landed on the ground, a stream of white energy appeared where they landed like a river. This gentle force allowed the two of them to land on the ground steadily, and at the same time, it also healed their injuries. Impossible. Looking at the power of his 10,000 soul seal being directly dissolved by Lin Yu, even with the cultivation of Ghost Laughter, he couldn't help but be shocked. In particular, Lin Yu's demeanor was so indifferent. It was as if it was an extremely simple matter to dissolve Ghost Laughter's 10,000 soul seal. Lin Yu also bypassed Lin Xiu and Lin Yuan. Damn it, Ghost Laughter was a little panicked, and Shimin Wuxiue, who was in the distance, obviously didn't dare to come over. He could only leave Bai Jiu and Queen of Hell behind again. And when he left the two of them behind, Ghost Laughter turned around and fled the battlefield. "I won't accompany you," Ghost Laughter shouted from afar, and he also took Qinyi with him. Lin Yu glanced at Bai Jiu and Queen of Hell unhurriedly. On the other side, the power from Ghost Laughter was also dissolved by him. And when Lin Yuan, Lin Xiu, and the others were worried that Qinyi would be taken away, Lin Yu had already disappeared in place, and when he reappeared, he was looking down at Ghost Laughter. When Fierce God Laughing Ghost's heart was in turmoil. He had already used his full speed and left Lin Yu's territory, which was at least 100,000 feet away. But when did Lin Yu catch up with him? And when Lin Yu caught up, Ghost Laughter didn't react at all, just because it was too fast. At this moment, between Lin Yu's eyebrows, a mark actually surged out at the same time. When he saw the mark, the 10,000 soul seal in Ghost Laughter's body was actually suppressed in an instant. Heaven grade, no, it's a saint grade 10,000 soul seal. You are in the 10,000 souls realm. Ghost Laughter was sure that this young man with no cultivation in front of him was someone they couldn't see through at all. The current Lin Yu was in the 10,000 souls realm, and a 10,000 souls realm expert had to refine the 10,000 soul seal with the spirit sense of a monster. However, different monster spirit sense also had different grades. The 10,000 soul seal was divided into 4 grades: heaven, earth profound, and yellow. Yellow grade was the lowest, and heaven grade was the strongest. And the heaven grade 10,000 soul seal already needed to correspond to a sky monster level expert. The so-called sky monster was the Spirit King realm monster that, by Geo had mentioned before. It was already an extremely extravagant thing to refine a 10,000 soul seal that was only used by human warriors in the 10,000 souls realm with a monster that also had the combat strength of the Spirit King realm. Therefore, the heaven grade 10,000 soul seal was already extremely precious to the 10,000 souls realm, a rare saving point. Even Ghost Laughter's 10,000 souls realm was only refined by a 10,000 souls realm earth demon, the 9-headed skeleton snake. In the 10,000 soul seal, it could only be considered a mysterious grade. However, Ghost Laughter could clearly feel that the 10,000 soul seal that appeared between Lin Yu's eyebrows gave him an unprecedented sense of pressure. He had seen Lei Dong's heaven grade 10,000 soul seal, but the pressure that Lin Yu gave him surpassed Lei Dong's. The only reason was that Lin Yu's 10,000 soul seal was at the saint grade. Only ancient monsters that had surpassed the Spirit King realm could have the level of the sky monster and above to refine the saint grade 10,000 soul seal. Impossible. The saint grade 10,000 souls seal only appears in legends. It can't be real. As Ghost Laughter retreated, he constantly comforted himself. What is the saint grade 10,000 soul seal? Lin Yu was puzzled. Anyway, it's a very powerful thing. Why do you care so much? And in his mind, a second voice appeared. It was the voice that was originally in the blue fire. Bai Xiaoli, you're borrowing my body now. Lin Yu warned. He also knew the name of the existence in the blue fire after bearing the other party's consciousness. Not only did he know the name, even the other information seemed to be absorbed by Lin Yu like a sponge because it existed in the other party's memories. Bai Xiaoli, 9-tailed celestial fox. It had existed for too long, so it was difficult to investigate. However, Lin Yu knew that there were a total of 10 ancient monsters of the same level as the 9-tailed celestial fox. Chapter 8:13. Among those 10, the 9-tailed celestial fox's combat strength could only be ranked at the bottom. Of course, even if it was at the bottom, even if it was only a strand of divine thought fused into Lin Yu's 10,000 soul seal, it was enough to destroy the Tao heart of a sequence like Demon God Laughing Ghost. After Bai Xiaoli admitted defeat and explained the meaning of the Saint Grade 10,000 soul seal, Lin Yu then looked at Demon God Laughing Ghost. Let her go. Lin Yu's gaze fell on Qin Yi. The other party was already shocked by the power that Lin Yu had just displayed. Even she couldn't clearly see how Lin Yu had caught up to her when she was being carried by Demon's Ghost Smile's soul imprint and a 9-headed skeleton snake. Warriors of the 10,000 soul realm can only refine one 10,000 soul seal, but I seem to be able to refine 2 more. Lin Yu pondered, although he already had the first 10,000 soul seal brought by the 9-tailed celestial fox. And the buff that this 10,000 soul seal gave to Lin Yu was mainly reflected in speed. Lin Yu could easily determine that his current speed was 10 times that of an hour ago. So you want her? Then I'll give her to you. Demon God Laughing Ghost had long lost the courage to fight with Lin Yu. A powerhouse at his level was no longer a brainless person. When Lin Yu exchanged blows and then caught up with him like a ghost, Demon God Laughing Ghost already knew that he had no chance of winning against Lin Yu. The next moment, Demon God Laughing Ghost threw Qin Yi directly, and Lin Yu also caught Qin Yi and didn't chase after Demon God Laughing Ghost immediately. At the same time, Demon God Laughing Ghost in the distance actually met up with Shimen Wuxue. Don't let the tiger return to the mountain. Qin Yi immediately reminded. You're seriously injured. Lin Yu smiled faintly, and the time reset operation allowed Qin Yi to return to the state before she was injured. This was not the first time Qin Yi had seen this incomparably magical power. However, she couldn't help but breathe faster. She knew that this was Lin Yu's strongest and most terrifying trump card. With this trump card, they had been able to defeat Ling Xiao, who represented the god of the Sky Desert universe. And now, could Lin Yu rely on this trump card to once again become a supreme existence in the 3 realms and 5 regions and challenge the experts on the god ranking list and demon god ranking list? Qin Yi didn't dare to imagine it, but she believed that Lin Yu could do it. I'll chase after him. Qin Yi's eyes were filled with determination. She knew that Lin Yu had once again taken a huge step forward on the path of the strong. As for herself, although she couldn't surpass Lin Yu, she didn't want to be left too far behind. She was Lin Yu's woman. That was her dignity. The others are here as well. Lin Yu's lips curled up. In the distance, Grim Ghost and Shiman Wuxiue were not the only ones to appear. There is also Jiu Feng, evil god De Luo, fiend god Jiangyan, and their captain, the strongest Lei Dong, the strongest sequence alliance in the Realm C. At this moment, all of them appeared in front of them. What should we do? Qin Yi's lips had lost their color. Lin Xiao, Lin Yuan, and the others, as well as Baijiu and Queen of Hell, also came to Lin Yu's side. Under the reset of time and space, everyone's injuries had been completely healed. Lin Xiao and Lin Yuan were still calm, but Baijiu and Queen of Hell were taken aback. What's going on with this healing power? No. How is this healing? This is simply as if he had never been injured at all. Queen of Hell and Baijiu said in shock one after another. Both of them looked at Lin Yu at the same time. At this moment, they understood more clearly why Qin Yi decided to ally with Lin Yu from the beginning. Why was Lin Yu so calm when facing the Sky Demon? His trump cards were so many and so strong that they couldn't see through them at all. Captain, should we avoid the spearhead for the time being? Baijiu asked. He didn't know Lin Yu's current combat power. But in the face of the highest combat power in the Realm C, Baijiu didn't think they had a chance to win. Why can't you even deal with this kind of trash? Lei Dong's cold voice came. Jiu Feng was next to him, as well as evil god De Luo and fiend god Jiangyan, plus Shiman Wuxiue and demon god Gui Xiao. There were a total of 6 myriad spirits realm here. With such a lineup, even against the sequence alliance of the heavenly domain and the primitive continent, they had the power to fight. You'd better not underestimate him. Demon god Gui Xiao snorted coldly. His face was a little sullen, and he couldn't laugh anymore. He thought that they would just deal with some small fries, who knew that they would be scared into fleeing. Because of the delay, Lei Dong and the others had already occupied all the territories of the 5 Elements realm and came here in person. Just a few 4 symbols realm? Jiu Feng of the Sorcerer tribes smiled seductively. She could be considered beautiful, but unfortunately, she paled in comparison to Qin Yi. Therefore, Jiu Feng stared at Qin Yi at the first moment. Leave this bitch to me. Jiu Feng sneered, as if she had already eaten Qin Yi. Don't hurt her face. Lei Dong warned. What do you mean you like her? Jiu Feng was dissatisfied. No man will let go of such a beauty. Lei Dong shrugged and didn't hide his greed for Qin Yi. Such a woman only needs the strongest man. Lei Dong, do you remember what you promised me? I will be responsible for the matter between you and me. But Qin Yi, I want her. After being rejected by Qin Yi, not only did Lei Dong not dispel his thoughts, but his desire became stronger. Qin Yi, I thought you had a good choice, but you just found a group of trash. Lei Dong laughed coldly. He did not even look at the others as he stared intently at Qin Yi. At that moment, Qin Yi subconsciously held Lin Yu's hand tightly. Don't worry. Lin Yu smiled faintly and looked extremely calm. When she saw Lin Yu like this, Qin Yi instinctively felt relieved. Just like when he was in the Feng Yi Dao world, the young man in front of her showed that he had enough confidence to face the current predicament. Even if he was surrounded by the 6 sequences of the 10,000 spirits realm, Lin Yu only needed one expression to make Qin Yi feel safe. Did you see that? That bitch already has someone in her heart. Jiu Feng sneered. No one knew if she was mocking Lei Dong or laughing at Qin Yi and Lin Yu, who were about to be unlucky. Lei Dong sighed. Then I want her too. You. Jiu Feng's eyes were burning with anger. She was no match for Lei Dong. but she could vent her anger on Qin Yi. Die. A 10,000 soul seal light surged between Jiu Feng's eyebrows, and a black feathered phoenix appeared behind her. The phoenix head was divided into 3 and then 9. It was the 9-headed phoenix formed by her 10,000 soul seal. Chapter 8:14. I want your face to be torn apart by my 9-headed phoenix. Be starred woman. Lei Dong was furious, but the 9-headed phoenix was too fast. Even if he attacked now, it would be useless. You'd better tell her to take it easy. Shimin Wushue's voice suddenly came. What do you mean? Lei Dong suddenly had a bad feeling. Shimin Wushue came from the same sea as him, so Lei Dong knew how powerful Shimin Wushue was. For such a sword maniac to say something so fearful, it could only mean how dangerous Lin Yu and the others were. Watch out. The 9-headed phoenix, 10,000 souls seal looked down and bared its scarlet fangs. At the same time, the 9 phoenix heads emitted an ear-piercing cry. Bai Jiu felt a stabbing pain in his eardrums. He was about to defend himself. Qin Yi was also about to attack. But the next moment, Lin Yu patted her hand. By the time Qin Yi reacted, Lin Yu had already disappeared from her side. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the 9-headed phoenix. At that moment, the space was already cracking because of the phoenix's cry. Waves swept across the land, and the city collapsed. Bai Jiu and the others couldn't even attack normally. The 9-headed phoenix's combat power was even stronger than the devil's smile. Yet, in the face of such a powerful opponent, Lin Yu was able to stand in front of the 9-headed phoenix, as if nothing had happened. Are you done? Lin Yu said impatiently. He raised his hand and directly slammed it down. You're courting death. The 9-headed phoenix tried to devour Lin Yu's body. No one dared to face the 9-headed phoenix at close range. Lin Yu was the first, and the 9-headed phoenix was sure that he would be the last. I'll tear you apart. The 9-headed phoenix's sharp beak pierced down. Lin Yu slowly raised one hand. When he touched the phoenix's beak, a huge shadow of Azura formed behind Lin Yu. The power of this demonic shadow far exceeded any of the Azura shadows that Lin Yu had used in the past. This was also the first time Lin Yu summoned it in the Myriad Spirit Realm. Great Void, 8 Divisions, Azura. I'll use you as a sacrifice for my Azura's third move. Lin Yu smiled faintly. At the same time, Azura raised his hands to the sky. The dazzling aura in the sky was instantly sucked dry, and darkness appeared above Azura's hands. The darkness was like an eternal night. It was the ultimate move of Azura of the Great Void 8 tribes. Extreme Devil Dao Transformation. As Lin Yu spoke, the Supreme Devil Dao Heaven came crashing down. It was so fast and so large that it covered the entire 9-headed phoenix. Damn it, what is that thing? This brat has conjured up a new world. Dark Sky, what kind of demonic attack is that? Impossible. This isn't an ordinary cultivation technique, nor is it a level that a secret technique can achieve. The top echelons present were all shocked by the appearance of Azura and the Supreme Devil Dao transformation. At the same time, Lei Dong also moved his feet, wanting to help Jiufeng. If you dare to touch her, all of you will die today. Lei Dong's stern voice sounded. Although he coveted Qin Yi's beauty, Jiufeng wasn't a woman he was willing to give up. However, how could Lin Yu be someone who would give him face? Under the Supreme Devil Dao transformation, it looked like a dark sky. In fact, when it came into contact with Jiufeng, the opponent's moves were all destroyed. What's more, Jiufeng felt like she was being smashed by an entire continent. That kind of heavy force shattered the 9-headed phoenix's myriad soul seal. As for Jiufeng, she fell down covered in blood. Damn it. After Lei Dong's warning, Jiufeng was still injured to this extent. This was a slap to his face. Before Lei Dong arrived, Lin Yu had already choked Jiufeng's delicate body with only a breath of life left. Let me go. Jiufeng's face was filled with fear. She had underestimated her opponent. She didn't expect Lin Yu to destroy her myriad soul seal with just one move. She didn't expect her opponent to be so strong. She had never felt this kind of oppression when facing a strong opponent, even in front of Lei Dong. However, the young man in front of her gave her the feeling that he was just a cripple with no cultivation at all. I was wrong. Let me go. I can fulfill all your conditions. Jiufeng used her last breath to send a charming voice. Are you willing to be my woman? Lin Yu raised the corner of his mouth. Seeing this, Yama and the others immediately cursed in their hearts. However, when Lin Yu said this, he looked at Lei Dong. However, Jiufeng didn't even look at Lei Dong. She knew that Lei Dong couldn't save her. Jiufeng knew how terrifying Lin Yu was. His combat power was so strong that no one here was a match for him. Jiufeng and Shimin Wuxue were the only ones present who had fought Lin Yu head-on. Even Shimin Wuxue, strictly speaking, didn't fight with Lin Yu head-on. He had already been defeated. Lin Yu didn't know how powerful he would be if he went all out. He only knew that, in his opinion, these people in front of him were all very weak. Yes, I'm willing to be your woman. Jiufeng's voice was heard. Everyone heard it, and the first thing they thought of was Lei Dong. At this moment, Lei Dong was less than 30 feet away from the two of them, but there was a grassland above his head. Bitch, Lei Dong roared, but he hated Lin Yu even more because Lei Dong knew that women had always submitted to the strong. At this moment, Jiufeng made a choice because she felt that Lin Yu was stronger than her. However, before Lei Dong could say another word, Jiufeng also thought that as long as she sold her body, she could exchange for a chance of survival by Lin Yu's side. When the time came, she would have plenty of opportunities to take revenge for today. Jiufeng wouldn't even let go of Qin Yi, a bitch who was prettier than her. However, the sound of her neck breaking shattered the tranquility at this moment and also destroyed the last trace of Jiufeng's evil thoughts. Lin Yu swung his hand casually, and Jiufeng's head and body were separated into two halves. Her head was full of blood, and at the same time, her eyes were wide open in surprise. She didn't expect Lin Yu to be so ruthless. She regretted it. As her consciousness continued to fade, Jiufeng regretted it. She shouldn't have been jealous of Qin Yi and shouldn't have fought head-on with Lin Yu. This young man was a strong person that she couldn't afford to offend. Handkerchief. Lin Yu raised his hand, and Qin Yi immediately handed him her handkerchief and wiped the blood on Lin Yu's hand. She knew Lin Yu's habit. He didn't like to have his hands stained with blood. However, what Lin Yu did now was for her. Qin Yi understood in her heart, and her face was full of smiles. Big brother Lin Yu, thank you. Jiufeng humiliated her and wanted to kill her, so Lin Yu destroyed her. What kind of youthful courage was that? Meanwhile, Jiufeng's man, Lei Dong, could only watch as Jiufeng threw herself into Lin Yu's arms and ended up with her head separated from her body. This was another slap to Lei Dong's face. Chapter 8:15. Damn it, let's go. Lei Dong had completely gone berserk. He originally thought that dealing with Lin Yu and the others was just dealing with a group of small fries. But he didn't expect that before he could get Qin Yi, he had already lost his most important woman. At this moment, Shimin Wuxue, Grim Ghost, and the others were a little more afraid. They watched as Lin Yu's hands were already clean under Qin Yi's careful wiping. And the young man's expression didn't give people the slightest bit of complacency from killing the sequence. It was as if Jiufeng died in his hands, just like squashing an ant. Such a person wasn't as simple as they thought. One-on-one or together, Lin Yu looked at Lei Dong again and said this extremely arrogant sentence. But after everyone saw him kill Jiufeng, they already knew that Lin Yu's strength was terrifying and he was qualified to say the sentence. Lei Dong was burning with anger. There weren't many people in the younger generation of the Realm Sea who could enter his eyes. But today, he was repeatedly slapped in the face by a sequence of the lowly sea region. It seems that you're really tired of living. Shimin Wuxue, Grim Ghost, Fiend God Jiangyin, Grim God Deluo, come with me. Yes. The 5 sequences of the myriad spirit realm erupted with a shocking aura at the same time. Even with the mental states of Qin Yi, Bai Jiao, and the others. This scene caused their heartbeats to involuntarily quicken. The few of us can delay Grim Ghost. We just fought with him and have a chance to win. Baijiu said softly beside Lin Yu. He naturally knew that even the current captain didn't have a high chance of winning with so many powerhouses. They wouldn't retreat since they were in the same alliance. They naturally had to contribute. I have no problem. When your injuries are better, fight with him again. If we are fast enough, we can support you. Lin Yuan and Lin Xiu said one after another. And Qin Yi grabbed Lin Yu's hand. Her jade hand was cold and boneless, but her palm was already sweating. The higher-ups are about to figure it out. Let's end this quickly. Lin Yu shrugged. War was unavoidable, especially when it was a battle between the top echelons. He patted Qin Yi's hand to comfort her. I will take good care of myself. You have to be careful too. Qin Yi said obediently and let go of his hand. She did not want to be a burden to Lin Yu, so she took a deep breath and decided to fight to the death with the demon god, Laughing Ghost, just like everyone else. Even if we have to risk our lives, we'll stop one of them. As for the others, I'll leave them to you, Captain. The Queen of Hell, who had always been unconvinced by Lin Yu, looked at Lin Yu seriously at this moment. Kill them all. Leave only Qin Yi alive. Lei Dong gave the order as the lightning energy in his body surged. A look of fear appeared on Demon's face, but just as he was about to attack, Baijiu sent out a palm strike. Your opponent is us. Demon looked over and grinned. He was originally worried that he would be in danger facing Lin Yu, but these small fries took the initiative to find trouble with him. Leave them to me. You guys just focus on dealing with Lin Yu. With that said, Demon God had already charged towards Baijiu. As for Qin Yi and the others, they also surrounded him. Your injuries are all healed? Demon God cursed secretly. What was going on? The 10,000 soul seal attack that he left on them was all gone now. It was as if these people had not fought with him just now. And this was clearly due to Lin Yu's space-time reset. Cut the crap. Watch how we take you down. The Queen of Hell's temper also rose. They were all echelons, so they had each other's dignity. But just now, they were defeated by Demon God, even after joining forces. This was simply a humiliation to them. The battle was on the verge of breaking out. 5-4 symbols realms against Demon God's 10,000 soul realm. On Lin Yu's side, he was also surrounded by Lei Dong, Demon God Daluo, Fiend God Jiangyan, and Shimen Wuxue. Lightning surged, and an ancient, gigantic crocodile that was 100,000 feet tall formed from Lei Dong's glabella. Heaven Grade 10,000 soul seal. Ancient heavenly crocodile die. Lin Yu's gaze fell on the ancient heavenly crocodile that opened its bloody mouth. Looks like the resources in the upper sea region are really good. The Heaven Grade 10,000 soul seal required heavenly demons. Only Spirit King Realm beasts could refine it. This kind of resource was something that Supremacy Wuya did not even dare to think about. The bloody mouth fell. Behind Lin Yu, Azura also propped up his hands and blocked the ancient heavenly crocodile's upper and lower jaws. The two huge clones collided, and layers of ripples instantly exploded in the sky. You have some ability. Lei Dong was also a little surprised that the ancient heavenly crocodile was blocked. He immediately signaled Demon God Daluo and Fiend God Jiangyan with his eyes. The two of them attacked at the same time. Earth Grade 10,000 Soul Seal, Demon God Daluo. Earth Grade 10,000 Soul Seal, Heaven Fiend Blood Beast. The two of them also released their 10,000 Soul Realm Aura. The 10,000 Soul Seal erupted, and two huge demonic shadows charged at Lin Yu. Let's see how you block it. Lei Dong laughed. To deal with his 10,000 Soul Seal, Lin Yu had already used up both of Azura's hands. It was impossible to block the attacks of the other two demonic shadows. Can't block it. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows, and his ternary combination 10,000 Soul Realm cultivation base erupted. At this moment, a second head appeared on the shadow of Azura, and then a third head. Then, the space behind him crackled. A third arm, a fourth arm, a fifth arm, and a sixth arm appeared. They broke out one after another. This was the final form of Azura of the Great Void, 8 divisions, 3 heads, and 6 arms. Bang, bang, bang. Demon God Daluo and Demon God Jiangyan's 10,000 Soul Seal were once again blocked by Lin Yu. He alone faced the attacks of 3 10,000 Soul Realm powerhouses and did not fall into a disadvantage. Chinese people looked over and were also shocked by the shocking aftermath of the battle. "We can't help him," Yama said helplessly, staring at Demon God Laughing Ghost. "Stalling this 10,000 Soul Realm is already our limit." Chini also heard a bit of self-mockery in her words. "At least we can stall one." Chini's bright eyes were determined as she burned all her cultivation base to the extreme. For Symbol's realm, half-step heavenly immortal. The gap between the 10,000 soul realm and the perfect heavenly immortal was too big. She, like Yama and the others, began to hate herself for being weak. Not only them, but even by Jio, Lin Yuan, Lin Xiao, and the others gradually understood this point. They were sequences, the best of the younger generation in the 3 realms and 5 regions. But it was not enough. The Upper Sea region, the Heavenly region, and the Primitive continent, there were more and stronger opponents waiting for them. In the face of a true powerhouse, they did not even have the power to resist. If Lin Yu had not killed a 10,000 Soul Realm powerhouse and blocked 4 10,000 Soul Realm powerhouses, they would have died long ago. Rumble. Lin Yu retreated dozens of feet, and Lei Dong, Demon God Daluo, and Demon God Jiang Yan attacked again. After the continuous battle, even Lin Yu's Azura, the strongest state of the Great Void 8 divisions, began to struggle. Extreme Demon Dao Heaven. Chapter 8:16. Lin Yu's cold voice could be heard. Azura's 3 heads and 6 arms held up the sky. The space contracted instantly, and the sky turned into a jade plate. The jade plate came crashing down as though it had turned into a piece of heaven and earth. Demonic God Daluo and Fiend God Jiangyan were hit at the same time, and the 10,000 Souls seal weakened significantly. However, Lei Dong took the opportunity to dodge. At the same time, he appeared behind Lin Yu at lightning speed. Die! With the ancient heavenly crocodile above, a lightning whip appeared in Lei Dong's hand and bound Lin Yu. Roar! The heavenly crocodile swallowed him, tear him apart. Everyone was shocked. Just when Lei Dong thought he had succeeded, he saw that Lin Yu had no time to dodge his whip. However, he had disappeared. Fast. His speed was shockingly fast. When he reappeared, Lin Yu was already dozens of feet away. In between his eyebrows, white light surged, and the 10,000 soul seal was faintly discernible. Shimen Wuxue, kill him for me. Although Lin Yu had dodged Lei Dong's attack, he had appeared in Shimen Wuxue's attack range. As for Shimen Wuxue, he had no intention of attacking. Lei Dong was a little surprised by this scene. Shimen Wuxue, why are you in a daze? Kill him for me. No matter how Lei Dong shouted, Shimen Wuxue remained motionless. I only want to fight him one-on-one, Shimen Wuxue said coldly. This was the dignity of a sword cultivator. Even though he belonged to Lei Dong's alliance, he did not give up the dignity of a sword cultivator. Using numbers to bully was not something Shimen Wuxue would do. Very good. Lin Yu's lips curled. This person was worthy of his attention. Wait till I'm done with them, then I'll have a go with you. As Lin Yu's voice fell, Shimen Wuxue's gaze turned solemn again. He did not attack. Firstly, he did not like to bully with numbers. Secondly, he did not have the confidence to sneak an attack on Lin Yu. The last time they fought was only half an hour ago. At that time, Shimen Wuxue had already lost completely. This time, he wouldn't make a move until he was confident. Shimen Wuxue didn't know if he would be able to escape from Lin Yu if he lost again. This feeling was the intuition of a swordsman towards a dangerous opponent. There was no mistake. This kid was extremely dangerous. If anything went wrong, Shimen Wuxue knew that he would lose his life. Watch carefully. Lin Yu smiled faintly. The strong valued the strong. He also knew what Shimen Wuxue was thinking in his heart. The other party was obviously not someone like Lei Dong, who was all brawn and no brains. At this moment, a wooden handle appeared in Lin Yu's hand. It was a sword hilt. Don't you use a knife? Shimin Wuxue had narrowed his eyes. He was once again surprised by Lin Yu. He remembered that Lin Yu had used a saber to kill Gu Yi. Could it be that this person had an extremely high attainment in swordsmanship? If not, how could he dare to use a weak swordsmanship when fighting against so many 10,000 spirits realm experts? The sword hilt didn't have a sore body. Shimin Wushue's gaze lingered on it for a few breaths. This sword was extraordinary, heaven grade or even higher. Shimin Wuxue guessed in his heart. He felt that he couldn't see through Lin Yu. Lei Dong and the others couldn't help but sneer when Lin Yu took out a piece of wood. Is this kid crazy? One Shimin Wuxue is in a daze. The other Lin Yu is crazy. Interesting. Big Luo, kill him. Make it quick. Evil God Jiangyan shouted. Just now, he and evil god Big Luo were suppressed by Lin Yu's extreme demon Dao Heaven. Now that he was injured, he knew that Lin Yu wasn't easy to deal with. Leave this kid alive. I want him to see his woman being played by me. Lei Dong laughed. When Lin Yu took out an ordinary wooden hilt, he already felt that he had the chance to win. The others just glanced at him and scolded him in their hearts. If Lei Dong wasn't the sequence with the highest cultivation, they wouldn't listen to a man who is so greedy for beauty. Women are troublesome. Evil god Big Luo and evil god Jiang Yin looked at each other. They knew that they had to be ruthless to kill Lin Yu. If they held back, they would be the ones to die. Shimin Wuxue. Lin Yu's voice suddenly came. Seeing the 10,000 spirit realm experts attacking, his expression was abnormally calm. Just a blink of an eye. You have to watch carefully. These words made Shimin Wuxue's eyes widen again. His heartbeat quickened. As a sword cultivator, his instinct told him that Lin Yu was about to show a sword technique that would shock even him. Lin Yu raised his hand, and the sword hilt in his hand suddenly burst out a blue light. The sword body was out. Streaks of sharp aura burst out. Even the space cracked at this moment, as if it was cut open by the sword aura. The power of the Emperor's sword. It was related to the cultivation of the user's sword principle. Therefore, the Emperor's sword was the only divine weapon among the 9 great Emperor treasures that could become stronger when facing a strong opponent. Lin Yu held the Emperor's sword, and the Sky Fox 10,000 soul seal between his eyebrows burst out a bright light. At this moment, the Emperor's sword in his hand began to shatter and fall. Impossible. Shimin Wuxue widened his eyes. It was impossible for such a sharp divine sword to break so easily. But the scene in front of him was so real. At the same time that the Emperor's sword broke, the 5th part of the 8 great void sections in Lin Yu's body began to rotate. Following the dragon tribe, Yiksha, Garuda, and Azura, the 5th part that Lin Yu had comprehended. Chi of heaven and earth. At the same time that Lin Yu spoke, not only the Emperor's sword, but also himself began to shatter. To be more precise, what Shimin Wuxue saw was Lin Yu turning into a wisp of green smoke. The wisp of green smoke merged with the fragments of the Emperor's sword. Suddenly, it disappeared. Even Lei Dong and the other 2 were extremely shocked when they saw this scene. Where did he go? D*M in it. Did this kid explode and die? Be careful. Something is wrong. The 3 of them were extremely alert. However, a wisp of green smoke suddenly swept across the space around them. The green smoke was so fast that it seemed to have torn the sky and space apart. Before the 3 of them could react, the green smoke had already swept past them. Shimin Wuxue, who was far away, widened his eyes. On his face, there was a shock that he had never seen before. He couldn't see it clearly. He couldn't see the appearance and disappearance of the green smoke. But he only saw Lei Dong, malevolent god Daluo, and fierce god Jiang Yin being torn into pieces in an instant. Did you see it clearly? The ghostly voice sounded again. Shimin Wuxue came back to his senses and saw that Lin Yu had appeared beside him again. It was only a distance of 3 feet. Lin Yu didn't even look at Shimin Wuxiue. Instead, he looked at the three of them as if he was admiring his own work. Chapter 817. The three of them stared with their eyes wide open. Their bodies were cut into pieces, and it was impossible to tell who was who. Only three extremely terrified eyes were falling at this moment. Ta! Ta! Pieces of corpses fell to the ground. 3 of the 4 10,000 soul realm experts had died, and it was an inexplicable death. It's your turn. Lin Yu smiled faintly, still with a harmless face. But at this moment, Shimin Wuxue's Dao heart had already collapsed. In his knowledge, it was impossible to cultivate a sword technique to such a level. It was as if Lin Yu had used an evil technique with shocking lethality and extremely strange speed that could instantly kill all the 10,000 soul realm experts. Shimin Wuxue's body trembled, and he didn't even have the courage to make a move. He didn't know if Lin Yu would turn into that wisp of smoke again and tear him to pieces if he moved recklessly. I'll give you a chance to make a move. Lin Yu smiled and patted Shimin Wuxue's shoulder. But the other party's trembling became even more intense. If that's the case, then forget it. Lin Yu shook his head helplessly and slowly walked forward. When he passed by Shimin Wuxue, thousands of sword chi pierced through Shimin Wuxue's body at the same time. The fourth 10,000 soul realm expert died again. Shimin Wuxue's eyes widened. At the last moment, he had already reached out to attack, but he was still too slow. Intense pain spread throughout his body. Was this the sword chi of a top sword cultivator? Shimin Wuxue stared at Lin Yu and slowly fell down, dying together with Lei Dong and the rest. There was no resentment in his eyes, but more of a kind of awe. A teenager gave him a kind of awe that could never surpass his sword Dao. Unfortunately, Lin Yu didn't give him another chance to fight with him. This was Shimin Wuxue's second failure. A sword cultivator had failed twice, and there was no more chance. At this moment, in the entire Thunderclaps camp, from the initial few 10,000 spirits realm experts to the present, there was only Demon God Laughing Ghost left. He had been held back by Qin Yi and the others. He had thought that it was only a matter of time before Lin Yu died. At that time, when Lei Dong and the others came to support them, it would be the death of Qin Yi and the others. But now, what was going on? How'd they all die? Demon God Ghost Smile could no longer laugh. When the aura of the 10,000 spirits realm dissipated, he had already begun to retreat, preparing to escape. Qin Yi and the others were also looking at Lin Yu in shock. So powerful. They didn't see clearly what had happened just now. But the truth was right in front of him. Lin Yu had killed 4 myriad spirit realm experts, including 9 phoenix. There were 5 of them in total. The 5 myriad spirit realm echelons had all died in Lin Yu's hands. This was equivalent to Lin Yu alone completely uprooting all the opponents in the upper reaches of Realm C. What happened just now? Captain, you've become so powerful. Invincible. Captain is invincible. Lin Xiao, Queen of Hell, and Bai Ju said in shock one after another. Qin Yi's face was full of pride. Was this her man? No matter how powerful the opponent was, he was still invincible. Qin Yi's man. Kill. Lin Yu looked in the direction where Demon God Ghost Smile escaped. Quick, a little faster. Demon God Ghost Smile desperately burned his cultivation in exchange for an unprecedented speed, leaving the battlefield directly. However, just when Demon God Ghost Smile thought that he had escaped hundreds of thousands of feet away, a young man appeared in front of him. The young man stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the smoke of the battle in the sky that was gradually subsiding. It seems that the battle in the 5 regions world is almost over. Lin Yu spoke slowly. The Sky Fox 10,000 soul seal between his eyebrows flowed with white light. This was the power of the 9-tailed Sky Fox, and her power could bring Lin Yu a terrifying speed. Under this speed, Demon God Ghost Smile couldn't escape at all. At this moment, the latter was staring at Lin Yu with fear. Impossible, you've already run far? Lin Yu smiled faintly and said innocently, "Unfortunately, this speed is just a moment for me. Have you heard of 1,000 miles in an instant?" "No, I don't believe it." Demon God Ghost Smile was shocked and turned to run again. His Dao heart had already collapsed. This young man could kill Lei Dong and the others with his own strength. Then he, Demon God, was no match for him alone. Only death awaited him if he stayed. A storm is coming. Lin Yu looked at the sky, as if he could already see the experts of the 5 regions world approaching. The Sky region, the primitive continent, and the other sequences of the 5 regions besides Baijio. After dividing the territories of the world of 5 elements, their target was the world of 5 elements. Thinking of this, Lin Yu sighed. It was destined to be another battle soon. But before that, Lin Yu took another step. 1,000 miles in an instant. Demon God, Ghost Smile, knelt on the ground directly. This time, his speed was faster and the time he took to escape was longer. He even intended to escape to the 5 regions world. But Lin Yu still caught up. "Let me go. I can be your cow and horse." Demon God Ghost Smile kowtowed and begged for mercy. He did not even have the courage to fight Lin Yu. "You're welcome." Lin Yu slowly walked past Demon God Ghost Smile. "No, don't come over." Demon God Ghost Smile was furious. The 10,000 soul seal erupted and shot into the sky. Ghost skeletons directly locked on Lin Yu and opened their bloody mouths to devour him. "Die!" At such a close distance, Demon God Ghost Smile decided to counterattack before death. But Lin Yu's figure turned into green smoke again. The green smoke was like an invisible blade, destroying everything in its path. Demon God Ghost Smile widened his eyes, but it seemed that he regretted it when the heaven and earth unification chi was used. He should not have thought of leaving things to chance. Then, when Lin Yu appeared again, the skeletons were shattered, and the 10,000 souls seal dissipated. Even Demon God Ghost Smile's battle constitution was the same as the others. Broken. Corpse. Wan. Duan. I wanted to let you die easily. Lin Yu withdrew his gaze and took away all the storage rings of Lei Dong and the others, not letting any of them go. Then, he returned to the team. Everyone did not know what had happened. "That Demon God Ghost Smile," Baijio asked. "He's dead." Lin Yu only said one sentence lightly, but the others' minds were already in turmoil again. He just left for a while. If it were them, they would not even be able to catch up with Demon God Ghost Smile. But Lin Yu not only caught up with him in a short time, but also killed him. This made everyone unable to help but imagine how fast the battle ended. Instant kill. It must be another instant kill. The people above are coming down soon. Lin Yu raised his hand and ordered the others to return to the city at the beginning. The enemies will be stronger after this. Everyone's expression changed. Lin Yu said again, "But I can help you improve your skills. But forcibly improving your skills will be accompanied by danger and pain. Are you willing?" Chapter 8:18. In between Lin Yu's eyebrows, the unity of heaven and man talisman was perfectly used by him. And inside, there were also the skills of several 10,000 soul realm powerhouses. When Lin Yu turned into green smoke, he also activated the unity of heaven and man talisman. Not only were those people killed, but even their cultivation was absorbed by Lin Yu into the unity of heaven and man talisman. At this moment, Lin Yu knew that it was difficult for him to continue absorbing these skills in his current state. More haste, less speed. He had already directly crossed the 4 symbols realm and stepped into the 10,000 soul realm. If he forcefully broke through, it would damage his Dao foundation. But the others present were different, especially Lin Xiao, Lin Yuan, and Qin Yi. Lin Xiao had his talent and the main body of the sky reflecting mirror. Lin Yuan was the combination of the extermination ape and the 8-winged demon emperor python. Before he was born, he had absorbed a large amount of Yao Bot and the inheritance of the 10,000 beast war emperor. There was also Qin Yi, who had 10 reincarnations and the terrifying rebirth in paradise divine sense. These 3 people had a chance to break through to the 10,000 soul realm. Hearing Lin Yu's words, The few of them revealed their desire for strength at the same time. If it was the previous Lin Yu, they might not believe it when he said this, but after seeing Lin Yu kill so many 10,000 Soul Realm powerhouses with their own eyes, they were convinced that Lin Yu could make them stronger. Captain, please help me improve my skills. The first to speak was Bai Jiao. He had been at the peak of the Four Symbols realm for many years and was only one step away from the 10,000 Soul Realm. But it was only one step, but the difference was like heaven and earth. Previously, when facing the fierce laughing ghost, Bai Jiao was already full of grievances. Captain, please help me improve my skills. The second to speak was the female king of hell. Now, she only felt that Qin Yi's initial decision was extremely correct. If they had chosen the wrong camp from the beginning, then they might have died together with Lei Dong at this moment. The current female king of hell was completely convinced by Lin Yu. What about you guys? Lin Yu's gaze fell on the other three. I'm willing. Although Lin Yu said these 3 words, he still felt a blow to his face. He wanted to become stronger, but this kind of situation where he was being left too far behind by Lin Yu was not good. Listen to Master, Lin Yuan said. Qin Yi stepped forward and did not answer Lin Yu's question immediately. Instead, she asked worriedly, will it affect you? She was worried that Lin Yu's own cultivation would be damaged. Lin Yu smiled gently. Qin Yi was probably the one who cared about him the most. Hearing Qin Yu, use Lin Yuan you as you felt Lin Xiu you. They were Yu's indeed. Captain, if it's too difficult, I don't mind not leveling up for now. Yama was the first to speak. She looked at White Nine. Although this person is easily flustered, his cultivation is the closest to the 10,000 spirit realm. Captain, help him raise his cultivation level first, and we will have another helper in the 10,000 spirit realm. The others nodded in succession. Lin Yu smiled with satisfaction. It seemed that these people were quite united. It's okay. Since I asked you, I naturally have the confidence to help all of you improve. Lin Yu said and brought everyone to the side of the altar. There was no longer the nine-tailed fox's voice. To be more precise, the nine-tailed fox's consciousness was in Lin Yu's body at this moment, and her main body was already asleep in the blue fire. Lin Yu knew that even with his current cultivation and the sharpness of the Emperor's sword, he could not break the sealed chain, and he did not intend to break the shackles of the altar immediately. The nine-tailed fox was now in a state of complete submission to Lin Yu. If the seal was broken and a nine-tailed fox's main body appeared, there might be other variables. Sit cross-legged. We don't have much time, Lin Yu said, and everyone sat down at the same time. In the world of 5 directions, the heavenly realm occupied 60% of the territory, while the 4 families of the primitive continent only occupied 30%. The remaining 10% was divided between the Western Shumi sect, Ghost Realm, Demon sect, and Dongxing sect. The people of the heavenly realm were ambitious. Although they already had an absolute advantage, they were still eyeing the territory of the 5 elements realm. Even if they controlled 60% of the world of 5 direction, including the world of 5 elements, they only occupied 30% of the world of 10 direction. Naturally, this was far from enough for the heavenly realm's echelon. They were the supreme geniuses, and this time, their goal was to occupy more than 50% of the territory. They wanted to tell everyone in the 3 realms and 5 regions that even if all the geniuses of the other forces combined, they could not compare to the younger generation of the heavenly realm. This arrogance was destined to make them shine in this battle between the echelon. The people of the primitive continent were naturally not satisfied with just 30% of the territory of the 5 elements realm. And this 30% was taken from the hands of the heavenly realm's echelon after paying a huge price. If the people of the heavenly realm did not already have their eyes on the 5 elements realm below, they would probably still be entangled with them, and then the territory of the primitive continent would be reduced. Because they understood that the echelon of the heavenly realm was the strongest, and the people of the 4 regions would not be satisfied with just 10% of the territory. Since they could not compete with the people of the 5 elements realm, they would go to the 5 elements realm. I heard that Bai Jiao of the demon realm is down there. That kid is at the peak of the four symbols realm. He is not easy to deal with. What are you afraid of? We still have the captain of the 10,000 spirits realm. Killing him is easy. I wonder if Baijio is dead. If he is not, we will snatch his territory. The echelon of the five elements realm began to descend, and their target was the five elements realm. At the same time, heavenly realm, the highest place in this world, was also the most powerful place. There was an incomparably huge phoenix. Its wings had been severed, and it was lying in a vast cage on the verge of death. But the phoenix still kept wailing. Starlight flowed through the cage. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the pillars of each cage actually contained stars. It was as if the cage itself was a star field. And in front of the cage, there was a chessboard. On the chessboard, there was also the power of stars. Each chess piece was a star. The person holding the white chess piece was a black-robed expert. His appearance could not be seen clearly, but how could a person who could use stars as chess pieces and easily lift them up be a simple person? Good move. The black-robed expert muttered to himself, but the white chess piece in his hand had already been placed. Opposite him, a middle-aged man sat upright, slowly raised the teacup in his hand, and took a sip. This person had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. Even if it was just a simple action, it gave people a sense of immovable majesty. His back was against the star cage, and behind him, 6 black wings were mighty and domineering, symbolizing this person's identity. The strongest existence in the 3 realms and 5 regions, the 6-winged Divine King. Chapter 819. The seal has loosened. Aren't you going to take a look? I'll be done by the time I finish this game with you. The 6-winged God King put down his teacup. Seeing the white piece, he shook his head and placed a black piece. The next piece was placed. With a pincer attack, the situation was once again in favor of the white piece. The God King's chess skills have improved again, the black-robed man muttered. The black-robed expert murmured to himself, I wonder if anyone brought out the 9-tailed celestial fox. As one of the 10 ancient sacred lands, the 10-square world forbade anyone above the 10,000 spirit realm because they didn't want to break the seal in the sacred land. That ancient expert doesn't want us to open the secret of the 10 ancient sacred grounds, so I'm going to try. The God King should understand that those echelons are the future of the 3 realms and 5 regions. If anything happens to them, the 9-tailed celestial fox will have a bad temper. The 6-winged God King's expression remained cold and emotionless. Sacrifices are inevitable. If the echelons can be used as sacrifices to release the 9-tailed celestial fox's power, I'm willing. The black-robed expert smiled. The God King is indeed someone who does great things. If that person had your boldness back then, now, before he could finish, a somber aura erupted for the chessboard. I've said too much. The black-robed expert smiled apologetically, knowing that he'd almost said the 6-winged God King's taboo. You've lost. The 6-winged God King snorted. With a wave of his hand, an image appeared at the edge of the chessboard. It was the image of the city on the altar. The seal has loosened. The black-robed expert was overjoyed. If the 9-tailed celestial fox can be released, the God King will be able to absorb his sacred heart and sea of chi and step into a higher realm. At that time, this world will become the 12th divine realm under the God King's leadership. I congratulate the God King in advance. The 6-winged God King's expression was still calm, but it was somewhat similar to Lin Yu's. At that time, we'll have to rely on your divine realm to express our stance. As long as the God King is willing to pay a small price, our divine master will definitely honor his promise. That would be for the best. The black-robed expert smiled with satisfaction. He looked at the outcome on the chessboard and the phoenix in the star cage and revealed a strange smile. He cupped his fists and bid farewell before disappearing from the heaven domain. In other words, he didn't belong to this world. After that person left, the 6-winged God King snorted coldly. Above the Spirit King is the ultimate void, and above the ultimate void is the Celestial Emperor. As long as I become the Celestial Emperor, why should I care about your opinions? His eyes flashed with anger as he stared at the phoenix in the star cage in the blink of an eye. What were you arguing about? As soon as the six-winged God King finished speaking, a ray of divine light blasted against the stellar cage. In an instant, the cage shook, and then a myriad of bolts of lightning descended and blasted against the phoenix. Bang, bang, bang. The thunderbolt punishment was suddenly mixed with the phoenix's wail. However, the six-winged God King didn't even look at them. Instead, he stared at the situation in the 10-square world. His power couldn't extend into the Tao altar. There was a restriction there that even ultimate void experts above the Spirit King realm, the strongest existence in this universe, couldn't enter. This was because the 10-square world was one of the 10 ancient sacred lands. It had existed for hundreds of millions of years. The seal left behind by that era, even if it had been weakened over time, was not something that the current experts could destroy. In the sky above the Five Elements realm, the first to arrive were the people from the four regions. They were the first to be forced to retreat by the Five Elements realm above, and could only come down to the Five Elements realm to find a new territory. I wonder where Baijio is. We're all from the 5 regions. I feel that we should get rid of the realm C sequence here first. As for that Baijio, we'll talk about it later. The person who spoke was Ghost Fairy from the Ghost Realm. That won't do. Baijio is from our 5 regions, but he doesn't walk with us. Since he looks down on us, he naturally has to pay the price. After that person finished speaking, he put his palms together and softly said Amit Ba. This person came from the Western Sumeru sect and was a martial monk. After he finished speaking, the 2 sequences from the Dong Shang sect nodded at the same time. We can ignore him if he's heartless. This poor Taoist has always followed the will of heaven. I don't kill, and I'm not afraid of trouble. Senior brother is right. This junior brother has already locked onto Baijio's position with the extreme Tao compass. He's right here. I didn't expect the Dongsheng sect to have such a powerful secret technique. The martial monk was surprised. The person holding the extreme Tao compass also sneered. This item is specially used to lock onto demonic aura. That Baijio came from the demon realm. Even if he's a human, there's more or less demonic aura on him. Then why didn't you take it out when we were dealing with the demonic beasts in the 5 Elements realm? You almost caused us to be seriously injured by the demonic beasts that ambushed us. Ghost Fairy couldn't help but ask. The compass Taoist coughed dryly. This poor Taoist forgot that there was such an item. Ghost Fairy frowned slightly. The others didn't ask any more questions, but they all knew the answer. These sequences from different forces weren't completely united when they formed an alliance. Each of them had their own ulterior motives. Even if they were powerful, they would subconsciously hide their strength to prevent others from finding out their trump cards. Although they were in an alliance, in reality, each of them were competitors. He's right here. There's no mistake. The compass Taoist also knew that the atmosphere was awkward. He took the lead and landed in front of the city where Lin Yu and the others were. The demonic aura is very strong. Looking at the extreme Tao compass that was beating intensely, the compass Taoist's heart tightened. He felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, Baijio's demonic aura shouldn't be so strong. Where is he? The martial monk came up and urged. This is in front. The compass Taoist said. His senior brother also came up. Junior brother, what's wrong? I keep feeling that the demonic aura fluctuation is a little abnormal. It's like there's a very powerful demonic beast in front. Junior brother, don't be so suspicious. Although the few of us aren't a match for the primitive continent and the heavenly region, it's not a problem to deal with these small demonic beasts. The compass Taoist was still a little worried. I didn't expect the people of Dongsheng's sect to be so cowardly. Little Demon King, what nonsense are you talking about? The one who spoke was one of the 36 little demon kings of the demon sect. Hearing the compass Taoist's rebuttal, the little demon king laughed disdainfully. Since you know the location, there's no use for you guys. Move aside. With that, he led the others towards the entrance of the altar. Junior brother, let's go up too. If we kill Baijio and split his storage ring, We won't even have scraps left if we go up too late. Chapter 820. Senior brother, you're right. Maybe I'm just too suspicious. The people from the four regions surrounded the entrance of the altar. Gio is down there. The monk asked. Little devil and the others also looked at the compass Taoist. He's down there. After saying that, the Taoist looked at the compass again. Wait, what now? The monk was already a little impatient. Little devil couldn't help but sneer. What? The dignified Dong Sheng Taoist sequence is scared again? The compass Taoist couldn't hear the others this time. He just stared at his compass. Above, the number representing the power of the demon aura kept rising. No, there's something wrong here. Gio can't have such power. The compass Taoist was shocked. Even his voice was a little hoarse. Step back. It's not something we can enter. After saying that, he was the first to step back. Junior brother, what's going on? The other sequence from Dong Sheng Taoist sequence didn't know about compasses, but it was the first time he saw his junior brother so scared. Senior brother, the thing inside isn't something we can provoke. Let's go. Nonsense. You said Gio is inside. How can we leave? The monk pointed at the teleportation array on the city wall. Do you see that? This place is occupied by Gio's people. How do you know it's Gio and not someone from the Realm Sea? Ghost Fairy retorted. Who cares where he's from? Anyway, this place is now mine. After saying that, Little Devil was about to go down the altar. The altar blocked the divine consciousness. It was pitch black and unfathomable. So in front of them, there were only faint stone steps. It was exactly the same as when Lin Yu first came in. No, I said that the thing inside isn't something we can provoke. Once we enter, I'm afraid. The compass Taoist was terrified, but the others didn't listen to his advice, because in their opinion, they didn't trust the people from other factions. The two from Dong Sheng Taoist sequence might be acting. At the thought of this, the other sequences from the four regions felt even more strongly that there might be an even more important treasure inside. Do the people of the Western Sumeru sect dare to enter? The little demon king probed. Why wouldn't I dare? The most important thing for us cultivators is courage and a Tao heart. Who knows? There might be some good fortune in this secret realm. If we give up just because of a few words from others, what's the point of cultivating? You're right. Let's go in and take a look. Idiots, these idiots. Taoist Compass's hands trembled. Just as he was about to retreat, he pulled at his senior brother, only to see that the other party did not move either. Senior brother, we can't stay here any longer. Once they disturb the thing inside, even we will be implicated. However, after he finished speaking, his senior brother looked coldly at the compass Taoist. Junior brother, the most important thing for us cultivators is the Tao heart. Hearing this, Taoist compass couldn't sense the other party's Tao heart. On the contrary, there was more greed than words. These people all thought that there was something good inside. Why aren't you listening? Taoist compass shouted helplessly, and on the altar, the sequence was continuously coming down. The first to arrive was the monk of the Western Sumeru sect and the little demon king of the demon sect. After that, it was the senior brother of the Dongsheng sect and the ghost fairy. Damn it, I can't go in. Taoist compass stood outside the door, wanting to ask about the situation inside. What terrifying thing. So it's you guys. The monk couldn't help but laugh. In front of him were Gio, Qin Yi, Lin Yuan, Lin Xiao, and the Queen of Hell who were meditating cross-legged. In the middle of these five people, Lin Yu had his eyes closed. In between his eyebrows, the heavenly fox, 10,000 souls seal, and the unity of heaven and man talisman had fused together. With the power of the nine-tailed heavenly fox, he activated the power of the unity of heaven and man talisman to increase the strength of the other five people. And those five people's expressions were extremely ugly. Lin Yu had already told them in advance that this kind of forced increase would bring great pain and difficulty because he had gone through it. But the five of them still underestimated Lin Yu's words. The power they were enduring now was not even half of Lin Yu's previous power, but all of them were already in pain. It was hard to imagine how Lin Yu had withstood 3 times the strength in the first hour and stepped into the realm of 3 elements fusion, 10,000 souls. The perseverance required was simply terrifying to them. It's about time. Lin Yu smiled faintly. The 6 of them formed a formation, and the little demon king and the others were also staring at Lin Yu. It seems that they can't move yet. Are these people cultivating? We can't let them succeed in their cultivation. That kid looked between his eyebrows. Everyone stared at Lin Yu's heavenly fox, 10,000 soul seal, and had evil thoughts. This thing can actually help 5 people in the 4-symbol state cultivate at the same time. The monk put his palms together. Good. Benefactor, if you don't hand over the treasure, we can leave you with an intact corpse. Intact corpse? Lin Yu slowly opened his eyes and smirked. Stinky monk, I'll say the ugly words first. If you dare to take a step forward, you'll die. As his voice fell, it echoed in the altar. This time, the people who came were not from the heaven region or the primitive continent. Those people were the top fighters. And none of the people in front of him were from the 10,000 souls realm. Lin Yu naturally didn't put these people in his eyes, but his words were incomparably arrogant in the eyes of others. What a joke. So this kid can become a sequence because of this treasure. I already said that I can't feel his cultivation. How can he become a sequence? It seems that this treasure is indeed amazing. Why do I feel that it's the 10,000 soul seal that my master mentioned? Ghost Fairy asked curiously. The 10,000 soul seal is a power unique to the 10,000 souls realm. How can a trash like him have it? Forget it, kid. Since you're not willing to hand it over, don't blame us. The monk had already lost his patience. At this moment, behind him, the senior brother of the Dongsheng sect was holding a token in his hand. His junior brother's voice sounded. The Compass Taoist was asking about the situation inside. Just as the senior brother of the Dongsheng sect was about to respond, the others had already glared over. This treasure is enough for the few of us. Your junior brother is as timid as a mouse and doesn't deserve to come in. If you dare to tell your junior brother that there's no danger below, we'll deal with you too. The monk and little demon warned one after another. In front of a living treasure like Lin Yu, they had already lost the respect they had for each other and revealed their original greed. There are 6 people here. My junior brother can also come in and get a share. After the senior brother of the Dongsheng sect said that, the monk and little demon attacked at the same time. With a rumble, the 2 suddenly attacked and seriously injured the senior brother. Chapter 821. Poof. Since you don't know what's good for you, die first. Bastard, we are from the Alliance. The senior brother glared at the other party with a ferocious expression. At the same time, he took a few steps back. Forget it, little demon king. Monks should be lenient whenever possible. The warrior monk persuaded the little demon king. However, he didn't really want to help the other party. He just wanted to find a scapegoat. Taoist emptiness. Since you made a mistake, you should make up for it now. The moment the warrior monk said that, the little demon king understood. That's right. Go and twist that kid's head off. The Taoist emptiness gritted his teeth. How could he not understand that he was the first to make a move? If there was really danger, he would be the first to die. If you don't listen, I'll let you die now. The warrior monk warned. Ghost Fairy had already approached Lin Yu and the others. Lin Yu didn't move. The Ghost Fairy probed. Are you guys unable to move? So what if we are? Lin Yu smiled faintly. At this moment, not only could he not move, but he was also the only one who could speak. The others could only focus on improving their skills. After hearing Lin Yu's words, the greed on the others' faces became even more obvious. Ghost Fairy, what are you trying to do? While the little demon king and the warrior monk were dealing with the Taoist emptiness, the Ghost Fairy sneaked up alone from the Jing Mountain City and extended her hand towards Lin Yu's glabella. Since you can't move, this is mine. At this moment, the Ghost Fairy had a ferocious look on her face. Her voice was heard by Bai Jio and the others. The 5 of them were a little distracted. Concentrate on operating. Don't be distracted. After saying that, Lin Yu smiled faintly. He didn't even look at the Ghost Fairy who was charging towards him. In the next moment, his glabella was only 3 feet away from the ghost fairy's hand. Got it. To a 4-symbols stage powerhouse, a distance of 3 feet was merely a matter of an instant. However, the instant ghost fairy's laughter was heard, a white light flashed past between Lin Yu's brows. This white light is like a sharp blade, directly cutting off Ghost Fairy's hand. Blood splattered everywhere. Ghost Fairy's mournful voice resounded. Only then did everyone come back to their senses. They saw that she was continuously retreating. Her entire right arm was completely broken. The right arm fell in front of Lin Yu. It was impossible to approach within 3 feet of him. This scene stunned everyone. Lin Yu closed his eyes again, not even looking at the arm in front of him. However, the ghost fairy had also completely lost her Dao heart under the intense pain. She retreated in fear and wanted to escape. However, when she saw the rotating heavenly fox 10,000 soul seal between Lin Yu's eyebrows, she stopped in her tracks. She was observing. Once there was a chance, her greedy heart would drive her to make a second move. In the outside world, because the altar was too deep in the ground, when Lin Yu and Bai Jiu first came in and threw something down, they didn't hear any echo. Therefore, the compass Taoist outside also couldn't hear any screams. Could it be that there's something wrong with the compass? He looked at the rising demonic aura value on the compass and snorted, "Damn it, I can't keep up with them." After saying that, the compass Taoist also jumped in. As for the compass that he threw away, when it landed on the ground, it seemed that the demonic aura test had exceeded the limits of what it could bear and shattered. Taoist emptiness, go up and try. The warrior monk ordered. No, damn it. You clearly know that kid is dangerous. Taoist emptiness scolded. Junior brother, I'll go up now. He transmitted his voice out, but at the same time, the compass Taoist had already come down. Senior brother, what did you say? Just as the compass Taoist was about to speak, Little Devil and the warrior monk directly attacked. The two of them each grabbed one of Taoist emptiness's shoulders and threw him towards Lin Yu. Your senior brother is going to get the treasure. The two of them laughed. When they saw Lin Yu close his eyes again, they already had some guesses in their hearts. The power used to deal with the ghost fairy was indeed terrifying, but with Lin Yu's current state, they felt that he couldn't use that move too many times. Therefore, what Little Devil and the warrior monk wanted to do was to first exhaust Lin Yu's stamina. As long as Lin Yu was exhausted, the treasure between his eyebrows would belong to these people. But in the next moment, Taoist emptiness's screams were heard again. At this moment, Taoist emptiness was lifted up by someone by the neck. Originally, the Demon Region and Dong Shang Taoist sect had nothing to do with each other. But today you want to kill me, so you can't blame me. The one who attacked Taoist emptiness was Bai Jiu. At this moment, Bai Jiu's aura had reached an unprecedentedly tyrannical state. And outside his body, a chaotic energy was slowly rotating. I still need one more demon beast to condense my 10,000 soul seal. Bai Jiu was extremely excited. He was sure that he had already stepped into the 10,000 soul realm. However, he still needed to find a demon beast to refine the 10,000 soul seal. Impossible, this aura, you actually... Taoist emptiness wanted to break free, but Bai Jiu's hand was like a clamp that firmly locked onto him. Bai Jiu did not hold back. The power of the 10,000 soul realm erupted and directly entered the already injured Taoist emptiness's body. Only a bang 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 sound was heard. Taoist emptiness's body exploded, and his head was separated from his body. Senior brother, the compass Taoist was shocked and was even more certain of his thoughts. I told you, there's danger here. Not only Bai Jiu, the compass Taoist also saw Lin Yu and the others. Each of them was emitting a strange aura. It seemed that only Bai Jiu had awakened, yet he could kill his senior brother. If all the others awakened, then they wouldn't even have a chance to survive. Thinking of this, the compass Taoist burst out with an unprecedented speed and directly rushed out of the underground world. As for Bai Jiu, he cupped his fists towards Lin Yu. Captain, please instruct me. He was extremely grateful to Lin Yu. If not for Lin Yu's help, he would have needed a long time to comprehend the power of the 10,000 soul realm. Therefore, Bai Jiu would first ask Lin Yu about all the decisions. Don't leave a single one alive. Lin Yu's calm voice sounded. Bai Jiu immediately understood and nodded. His figure instantly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already blocking the compass Taoist emptiness. At this moment, Ghost Fairy was also trying to escape. Bai Jiu, we're all from the 5 regions. You can't kill us. Yes, the 5 regions are of the same breath. Although you're not willing to join us, there's no need to kill us, right? Hearing the words of the compass Taoist and Ghost Fairy, Bai Jiu only found it funny. Now that he thought about it, the 5 regions were of the same breath. If not for Lin Yu's help just now, their breakthrough would have been interrupted by these people. Then what awaited Bai Jiu would be his cultivation going against the flow, his cultivation going berserk, and even his body exploding. The other party was doing this out of greed, wanting to kill them. Since we're the same breath, then all of you will die here today. Chapter 822. Bai Jiu smirked. At this moment, Little Devil and the monk also rushed up. This kid has just entered the 10,000 soul realm, and his cultivation is not stable. If we attack together, we might be able to defeat him. That's right. Let's attack together. With that, Little Devil and the monk rushed towards Bai Jiu. Ghost Fairy had lost an arm, and her cultivation was greatly reduced. Compass Taoist was also frightened from the beginning. But when the two saw the situation, they knew that they could not wait for death. At this moment, they braced themselves and rushed towards Bai Jiu. However, when they really attacked, they saw Little Devil and the monk split up in 2 different places. Unexpectedly, when White Nine attacked, he chose to go around from the side. Damn it, they want to escape by themselves. Bastard, I shouldn't have come in. Ghost Fairy and Compass Taoist cursed. But when they wanted to stop, they had already collided with Bai Jiu's palm force. Try my palm after entering the 10,000 soul realm, desolate sky, shattering palm. Bai Jiu's palm force fell and destroyed everything in its path, even without the 10,000 soul seal. But the difference between the 10,000 soul realm and the 4 symbols realm was like heaven and earth. This palm directly caused Ghost Fairy and Compass Taoist attacks to collapse. The 2 of them spat out blood at the same time. They wanted to follow Little Devil and the monk to go around Bai Jiu and rush out. But Bai Jiu had been fooled once. How could he allow himself to be fooled a second time? Die! White Nine raised both of his hands. 2 waves of palm energy erupted from his side at the same time, striking Ghost Fairy and Compass Taoist who were charging upwards. The 2 of them were directly hit by the palm force and fell into the depths of the altar. As for White Nine, he also went up without stopping to chase after the other 2. Deep in the altar, Ghost Fairy and Compass Taoist were already dead, and Lin Yu casually used his 5 fingers to form a claw and sucked their storage rings. He refined the top-grade pills inside into medicinal energy and gave them to the other 4 people. They were different from Bai Jiu. Bai Jiu was originally an expert at the peak of the 4 symbols realm, so breaking through to the myriad soul realm was only a matter of time and strength. However, the others were still a distance away from the 10,000 spirits realm, especially the female Yama. Her aptitude was much lower than the other 3. At this moment, Lin Yu could sense that Lin Xiu had already reached the peak of the 4 symbols realm and was starting to charge into the myriad soul realm. As for Lin Yuan and Qin Yi, they were slightly weaker than Lin Xiu in terms of aptitude, but they had also reached the last level of the 4 symbol state. As for the female King of Hell, she was indeed much weaker. She was still at the 7th level of the 4 division stage. However, her perseverance was not bad. She was not distracted by the matter just now and was still absorbing the power of the unity of heaven and man talisman. Lin Yu slowly looked up at the sky. At this moment, Bai Jiu had already brought down 2 corpses. They were the other 2 4-domain sequences that had fled, in addition to the 3 people at the beginning. The 5 sequences had once again fallen here, and because the one who killed them was Bai Jiu at this moment, Although the territory that originally belonged to them was far above the five-direction world, that 10% of the territory had now become Baijiu's. This scene was obviously something that even Baijiu did not expect. There was actually such a benefit. And the outside world was also beginning to change at this moment. The territory that originally belonged to the upper sea area of the realm sea was now gradually becoming Lin Yu's name. Has this entered the final stage? Baijiu's heart beat faster. When he was outside just now, he had already felt a tense and dangerous aura. He did not know how much time had passed since they entered the 10-direction world. But obviously, this phenomenon of directly inheriting the other party's territory after killing meant that the battle here was destined to be even more tragic. It also symbolized that the sequence battle was coming to an end. The final stage. It was no longer about occupying the territory. It was about who killed the most people and who obtained the most. Under such cruel rules, Baijiu could almost imagine that the 10-direction world was destined to be filled with rivers of blood in the future. I'll protect you. Baijiu saluted Lin Yu with his fists and rushed out at the same time, arriving above the city. He stood with his hand behind his back, looking at the surging clouds in the sky above. His breathing quickened. Even with his current cultivation level, he instinctively felt a great amount of pressure when he saw this scene. He saw that in the sky above, two forces were constantly approaching here. Needless to say, they were people from the primitive continent and the heavenly region. It was also this sequence battle. The strongest existences. As long as they survived in their hands, when they went out, they would be experts on the sequence battle list. But if they could not survive, then what awaited Baijiu and the others was death. This was the rule of the sequence battle, with a strong preyed on the weak. Captain, there are others. Baijiu's eyes were solemn. He knew that the burden on his shoulders was heavy, but he was incomparably excited. From the beginning of the battle, he did not know where to start. Now, he could protect all his teammates. This feeling made him feel that he had become more important. Don't worry, no one can step in here. Baijiu muttered to himself. He did not know if he was talking to himself or the others. But in the underground world, the others also felt the tension of an impending storm. They began to enter the state of breaking through with all their might. Lin Yu nodded with satisfaction. He knew that the unity of heaven and man talisman could release its full power at this moment. There was not much time left for them, and Baijiu and Lin Yu knew that the other party could not hold on for too long. The outside world. Baijiu saw the changes in the territory. 10% of the sky belonged to him. The remaining 90% was divided by the people from the primitive continent and the heavenly region. But the most dangerous place was here. At this moment, the entire Five Elements world was Lin Yu's territory. Captain killed Lei Dong's group, so this place is his. Baijiu understood. Now, Lin Yu was the fat sheep in everyone's eyes. Interesting, it seems that the final stage has begun. What's going on down there? I thought that the upper sea region people had occupied the territory. Why did it change? The experts who descended from the sky also noticed the changes. Because on the territory, Lin Yu's name appeared. This change even more reflected the horror of the final stage of the sequence station. When these people saw Lin Yu's name, they only thought of how to kill Lin Yu and snatch his territory. Boss, what should we do now? Should we snatch the territory or go find Lin Yu? A voice came from the four experts of the heavenly region. As for the person leading them, it was a person with red wings on his back. This man was the leader of the heavenly region, Wang Jie. But Wang Jie did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked at another person. Lu, what do you think? Kill him directly. Obviously, Wang Jie also valued the opinion of the person who spoke. That's right. There's not much time left. In the remaining stage, we should kill that kid directly. Then, all the territories below will be ours. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.